Do 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 do. Ba-da-ba-da-boo-boo-doo-boo. Right, guys. I don't know. I think I should be live now. I'm just trying to get. Oh, for the love of God. May be quiet, please. That's the dog whinging in the background. Ah, there we go. Stupid ads. So I like to do lives and obviously have it on my iPad so I can see the comments that I might miss. So I know that nobody's watching at the moment. I know it kind of seems like I'm talking to myself, and potentially I am talking to myself. You're gonna have to excuse the dog in the background. She's a bit of a whinge bag. The reason why I'm waiting for the adverts, which seems to take forever, go away adverts. I'm waiting before I do anything because I just want to see that you guys can all see me fine. And looking at it, you can, which is great. So, what's today's video about? Well, to tell you the truth, I have got a monster task with my leaf cutters. They're growing really, really quickly. I'm not sure if you guys watched my last leaf cutter video with Moxipinosis, but I made a second chamber for them. I'm looking at them because they're just there. I made a second chamber for them, so for their fungus, and it was a bit foggy, a bit misty. I don't know why, but all that's disappeared. So hopefully a bit later I can get some macro lens shots on it because that'd be really cool for you guys. Yes, but I've got a third chamber, obviously, as you know, which is absolutely rammed dirty, full of crap in there. Now, I think you can just see it there. I think you can in the corner. It's full of rubbish. Now, the issue I've got with that is I need to clean it out, which normally wouldn't be too bad, but I'm shaking the table. Oopsie, sorry. Wouldn't normally be too bad, but it is going to be a pain in the bum because there's just loads of ants in there. This Conley's huge. I mean, if you look at the outworld, which I'll probably show you around it a bit later when I move the camera so you can see everything that I'm doing first, you'll see there's hardly any in the outworld because I've not fed them for about 2 days, I think it is. And they're all in the fungus. Now, if you look at the Conley, they don't look very big. But trust me, as soon as I put some leaves in the outworld, it will go, they'll go crazy. And then they think they're going crazy. Then you look at the fungus and say, hang on a minute, there's even more around the fungus. Now, this Connolly, I mean, I'm being conservative, but I'd say it's about 10,000 strong. Oh, I got some comments. Hi, guys. And Outworlds. What's this? What nest do you recommend for Camponotus nicobrensis? Come back to that question in a second. And Outworlds, come back to a second. What's up, mate? Well, yeah, I'm just doing. Well, basically, long story short, the whole point of this live stream is that I am going to be cleaning out the trash of my leaf cutters, and it's going to take forever because the little ones all hang out in the trash, and I could just sit here and do it, but I thought, do you know what? I've already done a video on these guys like a couple of videos ago, maybe a video ago. I can't remember which now. And they're kind of like, I don't want to do another video on them, just be cleaning them out. So I thought you guys can ask me questions, you can talk stuff. Talk stuff and things like that, ask me questions, fair enough, and you can see the kind of stuff that I do. Now, by the logical choice with this would be to empty out that into a big bucket, all the moss in the big bucket with some barrier around it so I can deal with the ants like that. But the truth is, I just don't have a big bucket to empty them out to that I could put a barrier around. So long story short, we're probably going to be here for a while because I'll show you how I do it. I take it out. I have to sift it through as well to stop any freaking little baby ants getting in there. Oh, what's this? Oh, I don't know why you wasn't subscribed, mate, but I'm glad that if you have, I'm glad you do. Now, the channel's kind of done really well, to be fair. But anyway, I won't talk about the channel at the moment. What I will do is show you the current leaf cutter setup as it is. Now, it took me ages to get the angle of this camera right, so hopefully I can put it back. When I put it back, it will go back fine. So bear with me a second. So, you know from my last video, my lives, why this tape round here. I'm not going to go over it again unless somebody asks me the question in the comments. As you can see here, it is fairly quiet. There's not much going on, but I think a bit later I'm going to go out and get some leaves, and then I'll show you. Or if you've seen my other videos, these guys, you know what kind of how they go. But it's fairly quiet, fairly mundane. Ants, look at the size of that fungus now. Let's get a bit of a Pam. If you can look, it is a hefty size fungus now. Well, originally it was like that. It was in my last video, it was tiny, but they've really gone to town on it. And this fungus is just filling it up. To be fair, they're doing Yeah, it's doing it well. Now this is the target, and we're cleaning this out today. Now that was the prototype of these, which was the end product. Now I don't mind this. I think it's quite good. Um, not great for this setup is not great for everybody. I heat my room with a little electric heater there to 25 degrees, which is ideal for the fungus because I don't want to get condensation around it, as you probably know from before. Now, like I said, I keep it at 25, mate, 25 degrees. So I don't need to worry about heating them at all, regulating the temperature. It's all done by that. And you can just see the thermostat there. It's connected there. There's about a 2-3 degrees variance on the temperature before it kicks in. Sorry, squeaky chair. You're probably going to hear it all. Well, the ant guy, this is a very good question. Oh, God, you're not getting Geminata. Oh, my God. Right, so it's a very good question that. When am I going to put an open? I have actually been looking. Sorry for not my mic. I've actually been looking, like, past couple of days for an open tray kind of thing. I've been looking at coral tanks, I think they're called. I've been looking at terrapin tanks, kind of like fairly big, fairly narrow, so the trees can go up. But the issue is that when they cut, they drop off sometimes. They don't hold on to the leaves that they're cutting, so they drop to the floor. Now, if I don't have a big enough pan, they'll just drop on the floor, and then it'll be running around everywhere, and it'll be like lunatic-y. Don't get Geminata, please don't. No, definitely not. So I'm kind of like, what I do with that one. But I've been speaking to Ants Holifer, and he just made his out of a tabletop. So I'm kind of thinking, just get a bit of wood, get some acrylic, do what he did. He told me about how they're getting out. I was used sellotape over the silicon to be able to put the barrier on there so they can't get past it. He's put little corner bits on as well, so if they do get past that, then they've got a proper bit of acrylic there to stop them being able to climb out. So I'm kind of thinking of stealing his idea a bit and maybe making my own. But how about a setup with water between? Yeah, but then again, that's space. Now, if you look at my setup, oops, don't cancel, don't cancel out, you silly sausage. You need to cancel my live stream. So this is the space I've got at the moment. So if I want something that's going to be fairly big, I kind of want it just like half the size of this table, so I've still got a bit of space. Now, I might talk about these in a bit. They're the Antboy UK's new acrylic nests. Remind me. So you're doing it as well. What, the Geminata? Oh my God! Oh, you're crazy. But I'm not going to talk about Geminata. We all know my nightmares of them. So yeah, my space is kind of limited with what I've got. So I need to be, if I can do a custom one, like, it will be a lot easier, to be fair, and a lot cheaper as well, probably, because you can get strips of acrylic fairly cheap off Tinterweb anyway. Hers open. So Camponotus nicobarensis, Outworlds. You world's your oyster with Outworlds, really. They're fairly big ants, so they don't get out very easily. So you could probably use any pretty decent, half decent Outworld for them. Just be mindful that they hang out a lot in the Outworld. So even though it might be a fairly small colony, you'll find a lot of your ants kicking around in the Outworld, just be annoying. Nest-wise, the world's your oyster again. The Camponotus, they're fairly settled. Nicobarensis are fairly robust, so providing you can keep the temperature right and you give it some form of humidity, but not too much, they'll thrive, mate. They do reproduce really quickly. I've had mine originally in Ants Canada freaking Tupperware box, as my missus calls it. One of these. There you go. Fine when they're found and stuff like that, but they're just a nightmare because there's not a lot of ventilation in them. So when it comes to like getting bigger, it gets quite moist in there and stuff. They don't really like it. And they have a tendency to pack it full of crap, no matter how much there's in there filling it up. Well, they do that anyway, to be fair. A lot of people use the Wakushi laptop nests. Them there. That one, just there you go. A lot of people use that one, so you could potentially use that as well for your Nicobarensis. But to tell you the truth, matey, they're fairly robust. Just half decent nest, it'll be fine. What are these comments saying? I regret it. Remember Karuba instead of Geminata. Just good call that. Anyway, so let me go back on to what I need. Ants Canada nests are not that great. Have some vids on them. Yeah, they're not great at all. But like I said, boop, boop. like I said, I don't particularly use them. I've got them in my meat ants are currently using that. I need to get them out of there. That's probably going to be my next video that I'm going to film tomorrow. It's all right, mate. Happy to advise where I can. White-tongue's pretty good for Nikos as well. Yeah, Camponotus quite like white-tongue as well. I've got an EA white-tongue nest actually, which is quite good because I've got my Camponotus Sei or Discolor, whichever one you call them. They're in that as well. I originally put them in the small nest and they just filled it like within a couple of weeks. So I've got the bigger nest there at the moment as well. But yeah, I've also got some new ants. Do I want to talk about them? I'll have a think about that. But anyway, so let's go on to my leaf cutters. So I've got my cotton wool first. Do I have any wooden nests? No, I have never got on my wooden nests, to be fair. I think a lot of people think Camponotus wooden nests, they'll do fine in there and stuff, but they don't really hold on to the humidity very well, and it's very difficult to humidify it. Bearing in mind, most Camponotus, yes, they're carpenter ants, but it needs to be dead wood that they can actually excavate in and out of. A lot of nests are hardwood, and they can't mine in there, and you know, when wood goes soft and stuff, it retains moisture for the humidity for the nest, but a lot of wooden nests don't tend to do that. Now people might sit in this argument and argue against it, but that's my personal experience, so I'm just saying what I've learned. So but yeah, like I said, it is what it is. But we've all got, like I said, do love your videos but need a bigger setup for your leaf, budget setup for my leaf cutters. I have a good amount of space, good budget, but not massive one. Jake, sorry. Contact me offline for this, and we'll have a conversation. I can try and talk you through a makeshift setup using a tank and stuff like that. But yeah, so drop me a buzz and we'll talk offline from this chat. And I'm not saying my advice is going to be great because I'm only a hobbyist just like you guys, but I've got some ideas that might help you out with that. Facebook Marketplace will be your favorite place to go shopping, I'm telling you. Good to see you online again. How have you been? I've not been too bad, matey. I have been plodding along, settling down into my new life and stuff like that. I'm on Instagram or Facebook, Ants Hood. My name's Kim Hood. If you want to find me on Facebook as well, as my personal Facebook thing. But if you go onto my Ants Hood Facebook page, you should be able to message me through there anyway. Cool. So I am going to crack on doing this because I know that I know this is going to be an absolute monster. So a pain in the bum, should I say. So let me, how can I get this angle right so you guys can see what I'm doing? Just drop my old phone on the floor. There we go. Will this work? I should have thought about this before I started this video. Oh, I know. I'll put my Coke there. So what I need to do, guys, is disconnect this first. Now, at the moment, because there's no leaves in the outworld, there is very little activity and they're all chilling. I tell you what, do you guys want to see a macro shot of the fungus first? Drop a comment and let me know as I'm talking, just before they all get disturbed and go crazy. And could find it. Yeah, go on, show us the ants. Show us ants. Yes, okay, let me get my macro lens. I'll use the distance one first. So bear in mind, while I crack on with this, guys, you're going to get a load of pictures of my hands. Yes. Sweet. So this is the original or larger fungus. Here we go. So this is the larger fungus. It's a bit condensation-y. You couldn't find the laptop nest. If you go onto Wakushi's all products, you'll find it there, mate. He still does supply it. So the fungus is looking back. If you notice down here, this is the older fungus. This stuff will get removed and the whole thing falls down. Because if you look at the top of that fungus is practically, can you see, it's practically level. And that's because it used to touch the top. Now, because I've not fed them massively in the past week or so, they've slowly been getting rid of it and it's slowly dropped. Ooh. Let me steady my hand there. What are those black bits? I love the shape of this. You can see I've not really fed them a lot because it's not very dark. How do you think of the high-tech stuff? Overpriced. That's what I think of the high-tech stuff. But yeah, that's doing really well. But there's not a lot of condensation on this one. And we've got some brood here. There is still conversation when you zoom in, actually. But this fungus is a lot younger. It was originally set up in the Outworld when, if you watch my other video, where it, what's going on there? She cleaning the butt. Where it got very humid in the Outworld, so they decided to set up a fungus out there. So from that, I bought it out of a chamber or nest, as you can see here, and I just plonked it in, and they just carried on feeding it. What's the best priced brand? Short, sweet answer. Thank you. Yeah, it's the easiest way to answer it, mate. His stuff's not cheap, and I think there's similar products online that you can get that are cheaper. And let's be honest, at the moment, it's all about cost affordable. Ooh, look at that. 5,000 ants, you reckon? There's more than 5,000 here, mate. I'm telling you. It looks pretty chilled at the moment, but I guarantee you, as soon as I start doing anything with these guys, this chilled Sunday afternoon freaking attitude with these is going to go. Ooh, pretty. Shut up, mate. My dog's whinging in the background. These are the little ones that, like, I think the job's to tend to the brooding fungus, but I find a lot of them in the trash as well. So I'm not sure if they regulate bugs in there or something like that. I don't know. But as you can tell, they're doing really well. The fungus is absolutely smashing. There's loads of broods. In this, just one. I don't think Acromyrmex octospinosus can have multiple queens. I've not really looked. I can only talk from personal experience on that, mate, and I'm going to say that it is Geminata because I've had them and they are nothing but nightmares. So let's crack on with disconnecting this, and then we'll go from there, and I'll readjust it. Let's turn that out of the way just so you. So this is only pull in, pull out, so it should be fairly easy to get it in. But what I need to do is quickly plug both holes so they can't get out, and then we'll have a look at the state of this Outworld, the trash Outworld, and then we'll go from there. I hate doing this. I'm always terrible at it. Nate, get in. Stay in. You no, get in. Oh, don't get squashed. Don't get squashed. There you go. In you go. That was fairly painless. I'm saying that now anyway. Jesus, right, this is heavy. This is heavy. There's got to be a couple of kilos of rubbish in there. Sorry, I'll move my coke out of the way in a second. And look at... Not sure if you can see that without it going all weird, because it's... But they're already going crazy. There is a lot in there. They've done some mining by looks of it. Oh, this is going to be an absolute nightmare, isn't it? So you've got some more. I'm not sure if you can really see it there. There's loads of chambers in here as well. There'll be bugs and stuff in this too. And look, there's another chamber going up to the roof. Right. So what I'm going to do is put this up here so you guys can watch me as I crack on with this. Now, bearing in mind, ask any questions you like, guys. I'm just going to wait until the live stream catches up so I can see if you guys can see me and see what I'm doing. Let me sit back down. Not the greatest of views, should I say, because you can't really see my lovely mug. But hey ho. So this, whereabouts am I? Oh, this is stuck right on. So I need to take the cover off of the Outworld because that's where I'm putting all the annoyed ants. Now, one thing about the leaf cutters, you can't really see me. Here we go. How about that? Is that any better? I thought I set this up just before you guys started went on. The thing about leaf cutters is they're very robust ants. Now, unless you actually feel them, you might not realize it, but they've got really strong exoskeletons. And even though I might just be picking them up and chucking them in, even the small ones, they're still fairly robust. You can't really see my face. Is that a good thing? Probably. They're still, let me, hold you over. God, bloody thing. So easy. Oops. Didn't break my phone. It's fine. Done something weird though. Jesus. Right, let's try it again. Right, let's have a look. Where am I looking now? Cool. That should hopefully do. Sorry about that. So I'm just going to crack on. Like I was saying, they're fairly robust ants. So it looks like there's a lot in here. Let's just crack on with it. Here we go. This is going to be... Oh. Hope the other half isn't watching this. Oh, here's a question for you guys. My other half did a funny video. Well, she didn't do a funny video. She was kind of taking the mickey out of me. And she did a video and sent me it. So I kind of edited it together into a video. Now, if you're part of my membership, i.e. on YouTube, you should be able to, you've seen it already. I'm thinking about making it public for everyone to see. Like I said, it's just a bit of banter. She takes the mickey out of me. She tries to use a limited knowledge to take the mickey about how I talk about my ants and stuff like that. So, like I said, my membership have seen it because I put it as a membership only, but I might put it on the channel. What do you guys think? Would you want to see that, or just stick to my normal guy talking down the pub about ants kind of style videos? It's really up to you. Just drop a comment and let me know. Right, as you can see, I'm getting most of the initial burst of these guys out. Now, you're probably going to ask yourself, what am I going to do with all this rubbish? Are you putting it in the bin? Nope. I am not putting it in the bin. I'm not sure if you guys can see just there, my terrarium. The plan is I'm going to stick it in there. That's why I've already got the lid off the terrarium ready, so I can just dump them in. Why am I doing that is because this stuff, this leftover dead fungus and any other detritus that they've got is really, really rich in nutrients and stuff. So it'll be really, really good for the terrarium to give it a nutrient boost. And to tell you the truth, I've kind of neglected my terrarium because I've got no ants in there. I've just got, come here. I've just got a lot of isopods, springtails, stuff like that. So I could, and because I've not got any ants in there, I don't pay any attention. I water it to make sure it's fine. But that is it. This is going to take forever. There is so many ants already. Yeesh. Grab a big container, put it on. Yeah, but I was saying this earlier, the ant guy. I haven't got a big container to stick them in, unfortunately. So I have to do it getting all the excess off. Now, what I'm going to put on this is a barrier around it once I've emptied it all out. But this is going to be a pain. But I need to leave kind of like, I can't clean it out properly because I need to make sure that they know that they've still got the scent of rubbish in here. Because if the scent of the rubbish is still in here, they'll actually still move all the rubbish in here, back in here, because they know that's where it's supposed to go. Where if you clean it out clean again, they might start dumping. You can't see it, but they've started dumping some in the outworld because this is absolutely rammed. So what I don't want to do is to prefer to put it in the outworld rather than in here, because I want to keep the outworld as clean as possible, because that's my little that's my little feeding area for them. Now you can't see me doing this, but what I'm doing now is breaking all this up because I need to sift it to see if there's any more ants in here. I can't believe I just smelled that. It smells very earthy, like soil. They do put the dead ants in here as well. Remember one time when I did have the what they called Polyrhachis in there. It actually used a dead leaf cutter from this this trash to weave into the nest, which is kind of interesting. Saying that though, you got to see my if you see my short about my Polyrhachis, because I've got all of my. Are you looking at Gen 4 stuff? Not really. To be fair, I'm not really looking at the Wakushi's Gen 4 stuff at all. I've had absolutely zero input into its development or anything like that. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people will rant and rave about how good it is and stuff like that, but I've not really got any desire to test it, to be honest. I don't have any. I'm a creature of habit. If something works, I'll like to stick with it. Like I'm an absolute fanboy of Wakushi's MS nests. I've had quite a few, and everything I put in there's done really well. So I don't particularly want to. I don't particularly. Jeez, I don't. If it works, I won't get rid of it. I'll just keep it and use it again, and ask Wakushi to buy some more. I've already told Wakushi a little while ago that if he gets rid of his MS series, I'm going to fall out with him. Oops. I'm not sure if you can see that. Probably not, but it's a oh, just dropped her. It's a ooh. It's a really small one. Yeah, I mean, I did see the Gen 4 stuff at Ancon. Yeah, it looked all right. I like the fact that he's like his textile's the wrong word to use. Thank you. He's made the base uneven and stuff, so it's a bit more realistic, which is great. Like I said, that's just me sifting through that stuff. And damn, there's still little ones in there. This is going to take forever. What else we got? Back late. Yeah, see you later, Andy. Clean it out thoroughly. You'll never get the scent off the plaster anyway. Yeah, good point, mate. Are you looking at Gen 4 stuff? We answer that question. I'll be back in a bit. Cool, see you in a bit, pal. For me, I've run into issues with MS on certain species, so switch to the Gen 4. My only move. Yeah, the Gen 3 stuff's all right. What was the issues with the MS? Was it you with the Pharaoh ants or whatever they're called again? The ghost ants that teeny tiny managed to get out. I think that was you. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I've got my Carabera Diversa in there, and I've had come into no issues with it with them yet. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing. I mean, it's rather than looking at my face, have a look down there. Hopefully, you can see this. Let me have a quick look. Yeah, you can see what I'm doing now. So I'm just sifting through this stuff because little buggers are everywhere. I mean, to tell you the truth, the kind of numbers that I'll lose by missing the teeny tiny ones is not end of the world stuff, to be fair, because it's a fairly big and robust Connolly anyway. They've been doing really well, and I've seen so much growth with them too. Hey, Antantics, how you doing, mate? So much growth with them as well. So what we're gonna do is just pop that into the terrarium, and then what we're going to do is, ooh, what on earth is that? It's a spider. I think it's a spider getting here. Got a really pale spider that seems to be surviving in here. Now, the Octospinosis are not very aggressive ants. They will defend if need be, of course. Dead ones, but they're not very aggressive ants. And they're not interested in protein. They don't really hunt animals or anything like that. They get most of their subsistence from the fungus itself. So they're not bothered by insects and catching them. So what you will find is that whenever they do, for example, I've done it before. I don't live feed my ants or anything like that. I'm not a fan of that. But what they will do is defend the nest if they have to, or defend their trails. So they will attack other stuff if needs be. But if it minds its own business, they generally leave it alone as well. And it appears I've just seen a little tiny spider. That is the approach that they're taking with spider in the trash pile as well. I just hope she's not eating any brood, but I doubt it. I doubt they'll let anything get near the fungus, to be fair. Because anything on the fungus can be dangerous. I'm sure there's some specialist species out there. Dry leaf cutting waste is so much easier to deal with. I'd be tempted to swap out the lid for a fine mesh. Yeah, fair one. You come here. And you're right, it probably is easier to deal with. Problem is the way that this is made, because this is a prototype one. You see that little knob there? It will prevent me putting any decent kind of mesh on top of it to dry it out. Oh, I'm going to be here for days. I've not even touched the surface yet. Oh, there's another one in there. Another 2. Another 3. Where is my tweezers? No, she's stuck. Like I said, these have got very robust exoskeletons, so you can be quite rough with them, to be fair. Can you get out? Right, I've got one that's stuck half under the acrylic. Now, this acrylic, there we go, she's out, has warped over time. Not to the extent that Holifer got with these, because he got quite a bit of warpage. Coming out, sweetie. But I've got some, which doesn't really matter because they're not getting out from mine. Hi, just joined. It's good to see you, matey. What on earth is that? What have you been chomping? At the moment, on the surface, I've settled out, but I guarantee you, as soon as I dig into it, I need some kind of like tool to dig in with. Not using Access for 3D printing. Have any of you guys got leaf cutters? I'll take the lid off mine, put a barrier, and leave the tube a few days. The workers come in to the top, can scoop out easier, waste dries out. Do you know what? I might try that. The only issue I've got with things like that, I mean, great idea, is, but I'm not a massive fan of open top stuff because all I'm going to say is Solenopsis. They ruined me. Ruined me. Because I'm scared that ants are going to get out. I've got quite a few strong Connollys, as some of you that regularly watch my channel probably know. And take my Carabera, for example. They are aggressive ants anyway. They are contained. They haven't had any, touch wood, haven't had any major breakouts or anything like that yet, which is great. But they could. And that's what I'm scared of, because if I've got anything that's open top, they could get in there and they could start going to town on the ants that I've got. Now, when my Solenopsis got out, I'm sure most of you guys OGs of my channel know that when my Solenopsis got out, it was my leaf cutters were left alone because they couldn't get into it because it was self-contained like it is now. Connollys that they had the where they could get into fairly easily, mainly due to their outworld setup, they decimated, with the exception of my Camponotus paresis. But they decimated it, all of them. So I'm kind of like, yeah, open top, great. I mean, I do want an open top setup for these, like Holifer's got, where he's feeding them, and I want to see more of an. I can then get the camera in really close to it if it's open top and big, like I want to do, and I can get the camera in close, get some great footage of cutting and behaviours and stuff like that. And then I want to get like some vines that they're going over, so I can see all that stuff as well. Yeah, I totally want to do that. But then again, it's open top. So catch-22. I don't know. I do want to, definitely. I do want to do it because it would be really cool. But it's like I said, it's one of them. Tip it into a tub with a barrier on it and reconnect it. I know. I've just, like I said, Rich, you weren't here at the start of the conversation. That would be brilliant and ideal. Then I can sift through it in my own time and stuff like that. But the issue I've got is I've not got any containers big enough for it. So at the moment, I'm just doing it this way. And not only that, though, I'm going to have to sift through it anyway. So easy, disconnect it, reconnect it, cool, sift through the rubbish. But there's so many of these little ants. I'm not sure if you can see that, but they are tiny, tiny ants. And there's just loads of them. So sift it, bin it. And it's one of the reasons why I'm doing a live today, because I think I'm going to be doing this most of the day. So, and I won't get a video out, which would be unfortunate. But like I said, if you want to see the video, it's only been members only at the moment, but if you want to see the video, and I put it on Discord as well, not Discord, Patreon as well. So if you want to see the new Mrs. Hood, oh crumbs, there's loads of Mrs. Hood doing a Mickey video, taking a Mickey out of me, you're more than welcome to. Just let me know. My leaf cutter's waste is open top, just scooped out dry waste. Do you know what? I might try it. I might try it. Go open top on it then. Because I want to go open top anyway, so let's try it. I mean, I don't often have mass escapes out anyway. This is a fairly strong, robust Connolly. Problem is, though, they're not going to be used. They're not from the same area as the marauder ants or the Carabera, so they're probably not going to be used to handling them in nature because they don't naturally compete. But I'm sure they'll be fine if they should get out. And let's be honest, it's my Carabera I'm worried about, because if they get out, they're going to go to town on everything, because that is the way that they are. These ants are so small. Hello, Auntie. Nothing overly interesting today, I'm afraid. I am just talking rubbish, answering questions as I carry on cleaning these out. I am going to be away for 2 weeks next week, so I may not get a video out next weekend, but I'll have a look to see what my options are. If I can get a video out, I will. I'm doing this today. Today stroke tomorrow, I'm going to be connecting up Antboy UK nests. Got a lot to say about these. So I'm going to connect them back up. I mean, I love the look of them and stuff like that, but I cannot get the humidity to stabilize at all. He's changed tact. He's moved away from, or an example of these, he's moved away from the sponge kind of stuff, which is good. But the humidity, I've topped it up. The big ones got like this. I've just got thingy at the moment. It's like this, but it's got like 3 hydration chamber kind of things. Can I pick it up and show you? Here we go. It's got 3 of them. As you can see, I've got a probe in there because I'm trying to gauge the humidity of it, and it 22 at the moment. I watered that yesterday. It never really, it's not topped above 50%. The ambient humidity in the room's 18%, believe it or not, probably because I've got an electric heater, so it dries the air out somewhat. So the humidity, I just can't get any kind of control with the humidity. Now, for me, that's fine because I'm connecting it to my meat ants. So the meat ants don't mind dry setups and stuff. Most of the broods are bloody outworlds anyway, so they're going to be fine with it. But I just thought I'd quickly test it and see how we got on with it. Got a question, Hood. What do you reckon is your favourite Australian species? Ooh. Well, the only species I've got is the meat ants that are Australian to my knowledge. Yeah, I think it's only my meat ants. So I'm gonna have to be biased and say my favourite species is the meat ants. I wouldn't mind getting some bull ants or something like that. I think they're Australian off the top of my head. That would be cool to get. Problem is, though, they're a bit stingy. What was I thinking? What was I doing? Oh, this is going to be a much needed boost to my terrarium. I've got some new ants from Antantics as well, actually. I've not talked about them yet. I only got them in the post yesterday. I've not taken them out of the packaging. I've taken them out of the package to have a quick look to make sure they arrived safely, but I've not actually taken them out of the test tube or done anything like that with them. Now, what are they called? I'll show you. They are, I'm going to butcher this. They are Polyrhacus mittisata. Mister. Them. You know what I'm like for Latin. So this is them. I've not touched them since yesterday. So, and I held it too high, so you couldn't even see. But they're really cool looking. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to wait because there's a delay before I can see what I'm showing you. So bear with me if it's not the right angle. Let's have a look. Can you see? Here we go. Yeah. They're really cool looking Polyrhacus. But I am finding some very conflicting information on it. Right, it's spelled M-I-T-S-A-T-A. Mistata. I don't know. Mistrata. Could be. If Antantics is here. Oh, yeah, it's M-I-T-R-A-T-A. Mistrata. So I have seen some very conflicting information on it. So let me tell you about it. So somebody I said who knows who's got them. He says they're not weaver ants. They're called the false weaver ants, but just like the, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not weavers. But I've seen a lot in Antantic's description. It says that they weave. In other bits and bobs I've seen, it says that they weave. So I'm like really in two minds of what kind of setup to put them in. So I'm kind of thinking is I'm going to leave them in a test tube, cover up the test tube so they can still live in there if they choose to. And then I'm going to connect them to a Wakushi weaver nest setup, which I've already got. Do you want to have a quick look at that as well? Right, let me get it. Woohoo! Should be able to see that. Weaver cut setup. So I've got a string. What I've done here, might as well just show you while I'm here. Ooh, big chamber. So what I've done here, oh, that's dirty. Let's get this one up. So what I've done is wherever this rope touches one of these, I've put a barrier around it. So I put a barrier around that one, around this one, and around this one. The reason for that is because I want to encourage the ants to climb up around the rope and use a rope to get to food sources. So jelly pot and protein. Now at the bottom, I'm going to put a load of detritus down there, such as some soils, some moss, some crunched up leaves and stuff like that. So at the bottom of it, they've got plenty of opportunity to weave stuff. But because I'm going to keep them in the test tubes, if they don't want to weave, which as they get bigger, hopefully they will, then they can stay in the test tube. And then I know that once they get to a decent size, they've got the opportunity to weave. They have got opportunity to weave if they do. So I'm kind of giving the best of both worlds. I hope this makes sense because I'm probably talking rubbish. But that's the plan. But like I said, I've very much mixed information on there. So I'm like I said, I'm unsure of how the best way to approach it is. Mistrata, yeah. They're really cool looking. I wasn't actually looking for them, but Carly, the missus, is, I wouldn't say she's getting into ant keeping, but because it's something that I'm very interested in, she's shown a little bit of interest as well. I'm probably going to post a video anyway, so you can have a see what she's like. But she does like coming down to watch them. But the problem is it kind of smells funky in here at the moment because she doesn't like the cockroaches. She called the cockroaches nopes, which means no, I don't want anything to do with them. Because I'm not sure if you've noticed around the cave, but my aunts have got labels where she's labelled them different names, and she's called them the nopes. So the nickname's kind of cut for my cockroaches. So what we did the other day is we boiled some egg and we put some boiled eggs in some of the setups to see how they got on with it. And surprisingly enough, they're quite happy to eat the whites, but not many of them, apart from the messes, ate the yolk, which was quite surprising from my point of view. I expected it to be the other way around because the yolk's got all the protein in it. From what I'm aware of, anyway. So yeah, that was quite surprising. But the problem is, they've left it and it smells a bit funky in here, and I need to go around cleaning it all out, all of the freaking residue from the. There we go. All the residue from the yolk, and surprisingly enough, the ones that I thought would eat it all would be the meat ants, and they've still got the yolk. The Carabera, they've kind of gone through it, but they reluctantly went through it. They weren't overly interested. But I think because I didn't feed them any roaches at all, they just kind of felt like, well, we're going to have to eat this crap. So they did, but they weren't overly interested. Which was quite surprising. You. I take it antimatter just kind of like cut around for a little bit and shut off. Not antimatter, Antantics. Hey, what's your guys' take on shorts? I'd love your opinions, because I was like this morning, I was like, oh, I've got some time. I'm going to catch up on some of the old videos, ant videos. But I ended up watching Nordic Ants. Now, Nordic Ants is good, but it's not an ant channel that I normally watch. But it kind of seems like everyone's gone a bit inactive from the normal UK ant makers. If you know a decent YouTuber from the UK, not that I'm being weird or anything saying you watch people from the UK, kind of sounds that way. Come on, ladies. But everyone seems to have gone inactive. Antimatter News. What's happened to Anti News? Because that's not been on for a couple of weeks. That was always good. Ants England's not posted for about a month or so, possibly longer. The only one that's actually producing was somebody that I used to watch fairly regularly. Is Holifer, and Holifer's just gone absolutely batshit crazy on shorts. I'm not a massive fan of shorts. I like watching long form videos because, you know what I mean? I like watching shit in the background and while I'm doing stuff and having it playing in the background. Like, for example, now, if I weren't doing a live stream talking to you guys in the background, I'd probably be having an ant video on or watching a movie or something. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so, but I just don't like shorts. I do a couple myself, but I get it. Ant Holifer's like absolutely exploded since he's done shorts. He's 100,000 subs plus. I think it's about 120 last time I looked, so 121, whatever it was. And that was like, it was only last week when he got 100,000. So he's absolutely freaking going phenomenal. But he's posting like 2 shorts a day, and I just don't want to watch shorts. But they get the view, they get the subs. I noticed that my views, if you hit it right, your views can go through the roof just from shorts, and then you pick up a couple of subs. Now, if you're posting a ton of shorts, you're going to get a load of subs from it. But I mean, I do a couple, but I'm trying to keep it to the long forms. I know, but it just I've got Hole's extra videos. I don't know why he's not put them on his main channel, to be fair. But he's going to be knocking on the he's going to be knocking on the door of Ants Canada soon for sure. Anybody know who the biggest? I mean, obviously, Ant Canada is the biggest ant YouTuber, i.e., for subs. Who's next? Light Camera Ants, maybe. the short monster himself. World of Ants, I'll have to have a look at that one. Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on motivations. I do videos to talk about ants because I don't really get to talk about ants unless it's on my videos. And also, it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It helps me get into my ants more. Now, if you guys, for example, the average ant keeper, may sit there, watch his ants from afar, see some interesting behaviour, really enjoy it. A bit like I am now, looking at the outworlds just there for the leaf cutters. But when you film them, you spend a lot more attention and time on them, and then you get to see more behaviours. And because you're filming them and you put it on YouTube, you want to get a bit better footage, so you invest in a decent macro lens, which then you get more into your ants. So for me, it's kind of like it comes hand in hand. Making YouTube videos and looking after ants. And I've been keeping ants long, and I've been with a YouTube channel as well. So it's not as if I'd started doing YouTube videos because and then kept ants kind of thing. But it's kind of like I've been doing this channel for 3 years, and to me, it's like they go hand in hand. And so I ain't gonna, even though I am interested in building up my channel, I want it to grow, and I want to make money from it. Not because I want to be super rich, but my hobby. Before I went hiatus because my wife left me, my hobby was breaking even, which is what I wanted. But obviously, since then, because I was inactive, a lot of people have left. Well, that and the climate and the cost of living crisis as well. Most people have left my Patreon support as well. So that was my big money bringer, and a lot of people have left it now. So it's kind of like I've lost that income. Now, believe it or not, YouTube's for content creators, it's not as good as Patreon. For example, Patreon, you get the charge, for example, like if you sub up for a £2 level or whatever, then you'll sub up for the £2 and I'll get £2, but then you'll get stung with a charge for say 50p for the tax and stuff like that. So the creator gets more of the money that they say they're going to get. Where YouTube, for example, anything that you make from YouTube, like through ad revenue, or if you guys say, for example, hit give or donate or whatever the little icon is to send me money now through this, they'll take 50% of that shit bust. So it's kind of like they take the mickey a little bit, if you ask me. And not only that, though, I've also registered that I'm in the UK, so they don't tax me the same as they would somebody else, because they can't tax me. So if you think about it, because I'm not a US citizen, so and there's a tax agreement between the UK and America. So if I didn't do that, that means that then the Americans would take tax out of that winnings out of that revenue as well. So you're kind of like getting smashed from both ends. But YouTube are big, and it's where the money is, I guess. I mean, look at Mr. Beast, for example. He's a billionaire just from YouTube videos. Try Decon, he has some videos. Yeah, but he live feeds as well. I try and avoid people that do that because I don't agree with it. I mean, hopping off the savannah, harps, can't get the word out. You have to live feed them. That is the way. You can't. If they're hungry, they'll pay attention to freshly killed insects. But generally speaking, live feeding is the way to go with harps, to be honest. So you've got no choice. But increasingly, I've seen it with Deconley, I've seen it with some others a bit close to home, of feeding live insects clearly for the views. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I mean, let's be honest, the majority of ants that we have, there's always exceptions, by the way, guys, as you all know. The majority of ants that we keep, they're scavengers. They're not active hunters. They won't go and hunt down prey. They won't. They'll come across a dead insect or a dead or dying insect, and they'll finish it off, or they will scavenge on the dead parts of it, or whatever. Or they'll even steal food from elsewhere, such as something else that's killed it, and they're just like opportunistic. That's ants. Sticking a fly, a wasp, a freaking praying mantis, a freaking spider, or whatever else people stick in outworlds, that isn't prey. You're not triggering prey behavior. You're triggering defensive behavior from the ants. So you're getting a sense of panic, you're stressing out the ants and stuff like that, and you're not actually, and you're not benefit, the ants aren't benefit from it. They're not replicating a naturalistic behavior from it. You just force them into that situation. Like camera ants was a classic example. He fed a hornet to his ants. It was attacked by the ants. It went into the nest and started freaking causing havoc inside the nest itself. The colony wasn't big enough to take it on. He was doing it for views and stuff like that, but there's just no need to do it. You know what I mean? You know, there's no need to put a live freaking freshly caught fly. You've got to put it in there and watch it do it, because that's not the way that ants are, and you're just stressing it out, and it's needless. It's pointless. You know what I mean? It's, why do it? I mean, if you're that desperate for views and stuff like that, get an OnlyFans page, sell pictures of your schlong on the Tinterweb. But like I said, these are my morals. My morals aren't shared by everybody. But yeah, I do this because I love ants, and I do this because I want to share my anti stories with you guys and let you know how you feel, how I do. But like I said, each to their own. And I'm just sitting here whinging, so you probably don't want to listen to me anymore. I think it depends really what people have. Huge colonies, the require amount of food that you need to live feed, because pre-killed insects takes its time. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be doing that with Carly when she's looking after my ants when I'm away. I'm going to put some roaches pre-killed in the freezer so she can dig them out fairly easily, because she doesn't like them anyway at the best of times. So she'll be able to dunk them out and feed it. Now, there's no problem. If you've got a large colony, get mice. They will eat a mouse, baby mouse, English, hood English. They'll eat a baby mouse. Now, they're bags full of protein. You can sustain a colony on that. Chucking some insects in there, dead insects, obviously, to change up the diet and stuff like that. That's fine. But there's just no need to live feed. And saying you're live feeding just for the sake of, because you've got a large colony, isn't really cutting the mustard. Each to their own. And like I said, we've all got different opinions. But I think it's for subs. I think it's the nature of the internet, really. I like to think I'm a hobbyist, and I do this kind of stuff to better the hobby, so people can see what I do and what mistakes I make, and then not make those same mistakes. But then if you're just targeting views and subs to grow your channel because there's money implications to it, it's the way to do it. I mean, Ants Canada's video really gripped my short and curlies, to be fair, but that was just vile, to be fair. I don't know how else to put it. If somebody's supposed to love ants, he put them in an arena. So yeah. Ant Keeper channel is the Ant Keeper is a channel that is gaining some traction. His videos are well put together. He's an Aussie YouTuber. I don't mind the Aussie YouTubers. I won't be able to relate to them per se because they only got Australian ants. But saying that we can get Australian ants. Unfortunately, they're not allowed to import any ants for obvious reasons. I have the old bullfrog thing going on again. Whoops. Yeah, exactly. They need to feed their colonies without delay, otherwise they'll get destroyed by the colonies escaping. I think that's a cop out, mate. A cop out is, you know what I mean by a cop out. Hopefully, I think it's a blag. It's an excuse. Do you live feed, mate? Is that why you're disagreeing with me? But don't get me wrong, if you've got a species that will only really take live prey, then by all means film it, watch it, put it on freaking shorts that way, and I won't have an argument with it. But it's just the needless killing for the sake of it, I guess, or suffering is the word I'm looking for. PETA will not be happy, or whatever they call themselves, those freaking animal loving hippies. They whinge about everything, a bit like I have been today just now. Oh, so if you guys have got any other ideas about this big feeding tray that I want for these leaf cutters, let me know. Or if you know somebody that makes glass, will be able to make a big glass dish for me, so I can use it for my leaf cutters, that would be much appreciated as well. Because I am not having much luck with it. Oh. God, this is taking forever. Told you this would take forever. If you guys are sticking around for this, which I'm sure some of you will, some of you won't, I will. I'll do a bit of a quick tour about what's going on. Now, bearing in mind, a lot of the ants are a mess because they've kind of like the egg that I gave them the other day as to see if they would take boiled egg. A lot of them have just spread it all over the outworld. Nico's a classic one. They've put it all over the bottom of the window. Do you know what? I've not actually tried that, to be fair. If you wiggle a dead insect with tweezers, will the ants that only eat live prey eat it? I don't know. Do you know, it might be worth a try. But generally that, though, I haven't got many ants that will only eat live prey. So, I mean, the ones that I do have are my harps. Now, my harps have got really good vision, and they'll see exactly what I'm doing. So if they react to it, is another action, because they're probably going to be looking at, well, there's an insect. It looks tasty, but there's a big, massive hood attached to it. I know what he's playing at. I need to check my harps, actually, anyway. I'm looking there. I should be looking there. I need to check my harps, actually, to see if that brood's developing, because those eggs are a couple of weeks old now, I think. I'm not sure when my video was on them. Well, I was on them last, but they've had plenty of time for those eggs to develop. Now, if they're still just eggs, I'm going to argue that they're just laying eggs for the sake of it and not actually going to develop into drones or workers. I was kind of hoping it would develop into drones or workers. If it develops them to drones, then they might mate with one of the other other Gamagate workers, which would be awesome. And if it was a queen, then it would mean she's already fertile and possibly wild caught, to be fair, which can happen apparently. But yeah, unless anybody's got a male freaking drone that they've hopping off this and they want to send me to see if it'll knock up some of mine, let me know. Yeah, they do have their own personalities, their own little quirks. It's a very good point. I've noticed it as well. Ah, crap. I need to. I mean, the reason why this got so messy was because of my situation at home and not being about to clean my ants and just feeding them and moving on. I mean, we all know this from my last live stream. If you watched it, you know what the situation I was in, so I'm not going to go over it again. But I think I definitely need to keep on top of this going forward, so I don't let it get this bad, because it is bad. Not one ant in that. Often harps are dug up. Yeah, I find a collie. I mean, if mine were dug up, then it means I've got a small, slim possibility that is a reproductive Gamagate. because apparently, I say apparently, a gamergate can be mated, but if there's a queen there, the queen will emit chemicals to suppress her from laying any eggs. Now, if that's the case, now that the queen is dead, I've got a gamergate potentially laying eggs, or it could be an unfertile queen laying eggs. Now, generally speaking, when an unfertile queen lays eggs, she lays drones. But from my research, assisted by Carly, apparently they're inbreeders as well. So if they produce a male drone, because it's an unfertile egg, potentially they could reproduce with another gamergate, or maybe it's mum. Bit of mum fun, MILF. So then I could get a steady colony going, and be self-sustaining. And technically speaking, if that behaviour continues, because gamergate only lives for about a year, 2 years max, if she's mated, you could potentially have a colony that never ever dies, which would be awesome. But at the moment, from what I'm seeing, I need to check her again today, but I reckon that the queens aren't that the eggs aren't developing. Now, if they aren't developing, I can't get males, I can't mate them, and so on and so forth. So, because I haven't got a large tub, mate, this is why I'm doing this. And even if I did have a large tub I could dump it all into, I'd still have to sift through it, because the amount of those teeny tiny workers that you get with the leaf cutters, and they are teeny tiny. And there is quite a fair few of workers in here. I'm not sure if you can see, but I'm not even halfway down yet. Ugh. There was a lot of dead ants in here too. It is their graveyard, by the way, before anyone starts whinging. What are you doing? Could be 10 people have the same species, but they don't all get the same experience. Some will prefer hunting things, others just go mad for pre-kill. Very true. Yeah, again, it's going back to that different colonies, different personalities, isn't it? You get to see all sorts. So what am I doing here? So basically, I've disconnected the trash of my leaf cutters, the one that I've been neglecting. It's been needing emptying out for bloody ages, and I've only just got round to it because I knew it would take me forever. And I'm just talking rubbish to you guys who are paying attention as I clean through it and sift through it. But what I am doing, I'm not chucking this stuff away because it's all nutrient-rich goodness with a load of decomposing ants in it as well. I'm sticking this in my terrarium for my wood lice and springtails to chomp on if they choose to. Yep, Mrs. is back. Still loads in there. I need a spoon. A spoon would be really helpful. But I'm not going to go grab a spoon. Don't worry. What else can we rant about today? Or any questions anyone's got? I mean, I seem to be quite in a ranty mood today. Let's get into the wet bit now. It smells funky. What this stuff is, it's got loads of bugs in it as well that help decomposing it. I've seen little mites in there, little worms in there in the past as well, like tiny little worms. I'm not sure what they are. If my harps don't work out, in all fairness, I'll get back to the leaves for my acros in a second. Let me just answer Nixon's question. If my harps don't work out, which I strongly suspect they won't, I'm going to get some more harps. I really like the harps. I think they're cool looking. I think they're great. And to tell you the truth, I'm not holding my breath for my harps, so I'm probably going to get some more. Now, you guys have just seen some of the polys that I've got, but I've also got another ant as well, new ant as well. I'm not sure what it's called off the top of my head because I'll have to look into it. I've just left a bee. Now, she is semi-colostral, hint. She's founding, but she hasn't really come out of a test tube yet to go hunting. So I might, in a bit, give you a sneak peek. No names mentioned because I can't remember what the name is. Classic me. I'll give you, yeah, I'll show you because what I need to do, she's an active hunter as well, preferred as live prey. So I'm going to have to snip a little cockroach in half without severing its spinal, its nervous system. So it thrashes around a bit so she reacts to it. Because last time I did that, she ate. But you can't see it here, but there's a roach in there that I put in there for her in the outworld, and she never came out for it. So I'm going to probably have to force feed her. Force feeding sounds wrong, but I know what I mean. I'm going to have to put her food in there. So what leaves to my acros like? My acros really, really like brambles. They'll go crazy for brambles, and they continue to go crazy for brambles. So like, you know, like brambles. I don't know what else you can call them. Brambles. They like elder and alder trees, leaves. They love them. They like maple at the start of the year, but what I found is if you've got if you get more mature, larger maple leaves that have been around for most of the season, they're not overly interested in them. They will cut them if they have to. There's nothing else to cut, but they much prefer the younger ones, the younger leaves. So I try and get the younger leaves for them so they can eat that. I think it's probably because it's more full of sweet new sap and stuff like that. Now, people say that leaf cutters don't eat the fungus, the ants themselves. It's for the brood and the queen. I'm not so convinced. I think, yeah, it's always good to give them fresh leaves to give them to be because it's better for them, as it were. And it also the moisture from the leaves for me helps me. Thank you. Helps me regulate the yeah, helps me regulate. I wonder if they'll eat that. Oop, see if they cut it. Helps me regulate the humidity in the fungus gardens. So I don't ever actually humidify my fungus gardens at all. I just let them do it themselves. So so I need to give them moist leaves so the moisture can go into the fungus garden to the point I was going to make. Now, I have been short of leaves in winter and fed them a lot of dry stuff. Now, technically speaking, a lot of the dry stuff will be dry, so it wouldn't have the carbohydrates and stuff that the ants need. So potentially, the adults drink the sap and stuff in the new leaves, which is where they get the carbohydrates from. But I'm not convinced. I think that they also feed off the fungus. But what do I know? Because you see, the problem is when you see them like around the fungus and potentially feeding off the fungus, how do I know they're not just cleaning the fungus or tending to the fungus garden, making sure it's all nice, clean, bug free? How do I know they're actually eating it? If you could get any species that you've never had before, what would you get? Oh, that's a question. Oh, I'm going to come back to that one. Another question: if you do get another Harpy Connolly, what setup would you use? As I know you aren't overly keen on the Ants HQ one supplied for them. No, I'm not. I have actually got a white-ong nest with some. I'll show you it once I've finished doing this because they've got some mud in there and they've actually shaped like a table platform for the eggs and they sit in a little divot and it looks really cool. I will show you it, I swear. but yeah, so that's fine. It's holding the humidity. Harps like it humid. The way that they design their nests as well in nature is they'll have the living chamber, then they'll have the nest chamber on top, and the entrance to the nest is here. So basically, what happens, because they used to, like in floodplains and stuff like that, is if the water floods and it fills the bottom chamber, as the water rises, you've got an air bell, as it were, there. So the higher the water level can go above that, as it were, providing the soil doesn't soak in, and it'll keep an air pocket for them. So that's how they survive floods and stuff. Bit of interesting information there, by the way. But they like it humid, so I need a humid nest. Now, the Waitong nest that I used from EA, which was modified for my leaf cutters, is doing fine for them, and I'll show you it in a bit. But yeah, I'm pretty chuffed with that, and I'm probably going to keep them in something similar to that as well. Or you've got the Wakushi's got a nest with a gypsum base. I mean, the Gen 4 stuff would be ideal for them, because they're nice big squared one. Just put some soil yet again in it, so the young can weave if they choose to. But yeah, so the Gen 4 Wakushi would be quite good for that. I might use the setup for the harps for that. That'd be pretty cool. Homegrown or for foraging fruits are really good for acros. Yeah, I know. I picked up some berries the other day for them. It was really good. Plums, cherries, stored fruit, winter, in fridge, etc. helps. Yeah, fair one. Well, bloody up, I've got to go to work soon. Sorry, Terry. All right, let's move back to the side, just for the benefit of Terry. So this is the harp setup that I've got. Can you see that? You should be able to move it over here. No, those eggs are not developing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they've eaten some. Okay, let me just show you. Oh no, what have I done? So you can't really see. You have to hold it still. So, oh, she's run off with one of the eggs. So, Harp Colony. This is the EA. He modified it by taking all the chambers out for me, so I could use it for my honey pots. I never used it in the end. So this mud here was actually coated all over the bottom in a thin layer. So what they've actually done is they've made a little platform for it, stick the eggs in the middle, and they can go underneath that as well. Because they've made little chambers underneath it. The Connolly's doomed. Those eggs, either they keep eating them because the numbers are changing, or they're moving it to underneath the platform, which might be possible. The larvae might be underneath it because it's more humid. But at the moment I can't tell, and I'm not sure. So yeah, they do look cool though, and they're doing all right considering. They haven't been out hunting for a while, which is interesting actually. Just having a look. Oh, they have been hunting. They have been hunting. There were some roaches in there, but they block up the tunnel to keep the humidity in. So what they've actually done with those roaches is probably underneath that chamber. Maybe there is larvae under there, because the eggs change in numbers. And I posted a short the other day where she was giving birth to one, which made egg number 8. Now you got 4 there, and 2 of them have got them in the mouth. I wonder if they are. See, if you look at that one, it's going underneath the platform. So they've obviously excavated underneath it. I can't see it due to the makeup of the nest. So, what do you think? Comments, let me know. Do you think I may have larvae underneath that platform? Explain why there's no dead roach carcasses in here, which you would expect to see them processing, because there was some in the outworld. They're not there now. So they might potentially be moving. Just all I'm seeing is the eggs. Look, there's another one stuck an egg underneath. So there might be larvae underneath there. Ooh, that would be great. Quite contemplating thought there for a second. There might be hope. There might be hope. I've written them off. Jen, I've written them off. Genuinely, I've written them off. I didn't think that they were doing anything. But knowing that there was roaches in that outworld, I can't see the roach carcasses anywhere, which is unusual. But what I have seen previously when they've had larvae, they take the roaches to the larvae and feed them, like the larvae feed directly on them while they're still alive, coincidentally. But that's just a bit nasty pasty, but it is the way it is. I'm not going to comment. Yeah, where there's life, there's hope. Freaking Jurassic Park, mate. Love it. Yeah, but there's no carcasses there, so where are they? They must be underneath that platform. If underneath that platform, maybe there's brood there. God, I hope so. Hope so. Even if they come out as males, because it's an unfertilized female, that doesn't really matter, does it? Because that means that if what I'm reading is true, which I've read it from a couple of sources, so it probably is, it means that they could inbreed. And if they inbreed, then I've got a stable Conley. If I get a stable Conley and then I can continue them, they'll forever inbreed. So there'll always be a male produced that will be able to mate with one of the females, and boom, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your auntie, and you've got a stable Conley. I don't know. God, I hope so. Anyway, I'm going to put you back up here. There we go. What I am going to do is leave them be. Would they be able to pupa underneath there? Might have to tell Carly about that. I think she'd be really interested. She's not watching the live stream, even though she's upstairs. She just dropped off some cabbage. That's more for the roaches, the nopes, than anything else. What do you reckon? So what's people's thoughts? They do look well. It does look like a healthy Conley, but like I said, I've got no queen. I had 2 Queen Conley, and both the queens died. Probably, I'm gonna. You can't tell with queens. You can't tell with queens. It could have been because the setup was pants, which with the amount of brood that I had for them in that setup, I thought it was good. Then they just all died and didn't actually develop or grow. I got a couple of pupae that formed. But that just got left in the outworld. So for whatever reason, it didn't grow. Why they did that, I don't know. I really don't know. But there was a ton. I mean, if you check my shorts, I think I've got them on. Through my shorts, you'll see that here's another gem. Life finds a way. The leaf cutters fungus. You're not. I showed it at the start of the video out enclosure, but for the benefit of you, and just let me find this little bugger out. You're going to be impressed with the leaf foot. If you follow my Conley, you'll know what I've been going on with them, but you'll be impressed. I've just put some cabbage in there because I want to see if they'll eat it. Custom light, let them light. Because Carly's bought some cabbage up, but I'm going to use it. So that's fungus 1. Pretty much filled it to the top with fungus, and it's 360. Then you've got that one there. Shaky. It's got a bit of space around the back. If you look, so there's still a bit more fungus growing to do in there. Yeah, nearly 2 pods. I am looking at getting a 3rd pod though, to be fair, because I'm looking at that and I'm thinking the way that that's grown, and that has grown like significantly since my last video. My last video was what, 2-3 weeks ago, and it's gone from a little bit of fungus to absolutely dominating that chamber. So I'm kind of thinking to connect another one up and see if I can get a 3rd chamber of fungus, but I haven't yet because there's still space in there. Bearing in mind these pods aren't cheap; they cost about 70 quid, 70 quid plus. So money that I don't have. Atta Connolly, Queen died around a month ago. I've got Acros coming in a couple of days. I think Acros are the better option anyway. I said this in my last video about my Acros. Yeah, it's cool that Attas have got supermassive majors, you know, and they look really impressive. They grow really quickly. They're really active, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, great. But for me, Acros are better because they are polymorphic. Yes, they've not got workers as big as the Attas, but they're more manageable. These Connollys get to 50,000, I think it is, over freaking couple of million that the Attas get to. Then they're aggressive. They're defensive when disturbed, and they can get aggressive. But generally speaking, they're fairly manageable to look after. I just think that these are better. Acros are a better option than Attas. But the problem is a lot of YouTubers, myself included, want big Connollys. Want big Connollys because you can get content with it. Content, you get views, you get money potentially. You know what I mean? And that's what people want. So Attas are the way to go, but people get a wrong impression, and average Joe Ant keeper sees it like, oh yeah, these are great, keep them, and they'll be fine. But then I think they might get away with you, as it were. Then trying to feed a Connolly that big constantly over winter in the UK is difficult because obviously we have winter and all the broadleaves die off. But it was a bit like my keeping the Solenopsis, for example. When I kept the Solenopsis, you know, you had people like, it's why I keeps getting them, because they're the most popular Connollys, and Canada, and he gets loads of views from it. I got my Connolly gave me loads of views, comparatively speaking, for the size of my channel compared to his. So people want to see Geminatas, but Jesus Christ, they are not easy to look after. They are horrendous. But people don't see that, and I hope from my videos of that, people actually realise how bad they are to keep. They're not easy. They're freaking hard work, and they constantly escape, and then trying to clean them out is just pain, 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 because they sting like little crazies. And because they're such small ants, getting a Hoover to hoover it up like you would a bigger ants, and more drama, because rather than sucking up a couple of big ants, which are easy to pick out and put in the outworld, you're sucking up loads of little ones, which are little gnarly things, and they get everywhere. They're horrible. They're just horrible. Why would anybody keep Solenopsis? There is somebody in this chat that's keeping them. Who's going to be getting them. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to put you back on here so I can continue cleaning. There we go. Back in one stand. Yep, you should be able to see me fine. What was that question? How does someone like to Connolly have done that one? I kind of plan to get both Acros and Attas, depending on what happens to the Acros. Acros are just great, mate. Not everyone likes the idea of it, but I said that limited Attas is easy. Sid Attas being limited, Antimatter has limited his Attas. Yeah, you can control the protein. I know Wakushi had my Solenopsis Connolly, and he controls their numbers through how much he feeds them and stuff, so it's possible. But the issue is you have to get it the balance just right, because from keeping your fungus healthy, and like I said, the fungus is constantly getting recycled as well. You can't really see it where you are, but like the bottom part of the fungus in the second chamber, you can really see a distinctive level of where the old fungus is to the new stuff is. Probably because it's so rapidly grown, to be fair. There we go. They're actually going to be cutting that. They are. They're cutting the cabbage. That's big, thick leaves. I'm surprised at that. If I could keep any ant species that have never been kept before, what would I draw? Easy. African, is it African or South American army ants? Do you know the army ants are the big gnarly manbivores, and you've got like the queen is just looks like a sausage, and she produces millions of workers. They're nomadic. They don't set up a nest. They make a bivouac out of workers just clamping onto each other as protection. They clean any forest floor where they go. Everything runs out of the way because they're just so aggressively gnarly little ants. They would be really cool to eat, but keep, not eat. But there's no way in a million years I'm ever going to keep them. No way in a million years I would ever be able to keep up with their food requirements. But if you've ever seen them, they are really, really cool. I don't know the names. There's no way that anybody could actually keep them. That hasn't got like a whole freaking forest to keep track of them. Maybe we could convince Ants Canada to do it. Just tell him it'll get him loads of views, and I'm sure he'll do it. It's all about the views. Views is money. I've got a full-time job. And even though I do want this hobby to pay for itself, I'm not going to sell my soul like Ants Canada has, and some other peeps as well. Keep my moral standpoint. That's what I say. Jeez. I do honey pots. Okay, so my honey pots. I had them in the pot. She had 9 workers. They just generally died. I then got told by some American chaps that kept them that they'll put them into a test tube. They'll be fine. So I put them into a test tube. I had 1 worker. She died. Now I've just got the queen. Now the queen herself is on her own. She's just laid a load of fresh broods. But from my experience, whenever a queen lays eggs that develop into workers, she kind of gives up on ever looking after eggs ever again. And if those workers all die off, then the queen generally doesn't produce workers again, doesn't look after the brood long enough for them to get workers again. That's just my experience. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I do have a honeypot queen. She is in the test tube. She has laid more eggs, but like I said, I'm not holding my breath for her. I'm reluctant, to be fair, to get any more honeypots after this because they are expensive and they are difficult to keep. The only real way to keep them that's been successful in any leaf cutter colony that I've ever seen is in the Tar Heel setups. Now, Tar Heel aren't cheap anyway, and the import costs are redonkulous from America. So the likelihood of me getting, if she doesn't pull through, what are you? If she doesn't pull through, the likelihood of me actually getting honeypots again is near on remote. It ain't gonna happen. But I'd like to. I'd like to have a Connolly. I mean, if I could buy a fully established Connolly, I reckon I'll be fine. But I don't know anyone. I think the only Connolly, stable foundation Connolly that I know in the UK is owned by Ant Majors. He's one of my members, and he got his from somebody else. I think he got it from Ant Lab chap. I think he bought it off him. So he's the only one that I know has got a stable Connolly in the UK. Now, if anybody else has got a stable Connolly of leaf cutters, by all means, let me know because that'd be really awesome. How about your messes? What is your biggest Connolly now? And yes, they do great in Tar Heel, but yes, expensive. So my biggest Connolly by far is my Carabera Diversa. They're probably rocking around 300,000 strong. But they're still quite manageable, which is quite surprising for Connolly that size. I think Sid's getting honeypot soon and start working on a setup. Hopefully so. Do you have Tetramorium? Do you guys have Tetramorium over there? Not native, I don't think. I could be wrong. But we can obviously buy them. There's very little control on ants in the UK. You can pretty much get whatever you want. There is some exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, I think Solenopsis is getting to the point of being really difficult to get hold of. So I think because the Europeans have banned them, and even though the UK hasn't, trying to get them into the UK's become a lot harder. Because I've noticed that when I bought them, Solenopsis, it cost me fairly cheap, around 26 quid for a queen with a couple of workers, Foundation Connolly. I've seen a similar size Connolly for sale elsewhere, and they're asking for near off 60 quid for it. So obviously it's getting more expensive to import them, and I'm sure most of Europe's banned them now, but the UK hasn't. Yeah, do we? But don't leave me hanging, man. What's the but? I'm waiting, but I think pavement ants is the common name, isn't it? I think I've kept them. I've never seen them in the wild though. So I had a Connolly, a parasitic Connolly with them. I want to get another parasitic Connolly actually. I did have some slave makers, but I can't seem to keep Formica alive for love nor money. They're really difficult to keep. I've had one for a couple of years, but the second year round she laid no brood at all. Now I know they do it in bursts, but she was a founding queen. But then, like I said, I failed miserably with her. So ew, this sounds gross as well. I am literally shoveling through ant shit here. What about the acorn ants? Yeah, we've got acorn ants. I won't get them. They're really, really small. I don't like small ants. The only small ants I'll tolerate really is my Carabera diversa because they're polymorphic and they're awesome looking. But I'm kind of like sick, got a sickly, horrible taste in my mouth with small ants because of my Solenopsis. I know that the Solenopsis got out. It must be nearly 13 months ago. So over a year ago, my Solenopsis got out, and I'm still bitter about them. Still hate them. Still hate small ants because of it as well. But I'll tolerate polymorphic ants because there's some bigger ones to deal with. Even though the majority polymorphic ants, the main workforce is the smaller ants. To be fair, we have Lasius and Formicas. Yes, yeah, we do. Solenopsis, really. Yeah, I hate Solenopsis. I know some people have got them. I was just like, did you not watch my videos? Yes, I have got fire ant PTSD. Yeah, that is definitely something to call it that. That's a fair comment, actually. I can't argue with that. Well, my woodlice have come out to feed on the old leaf-cut detritus. The problem is that I've got some big orange woodlice in my terrarium, and I think what they've done is outcompeted any ant colony I put in there. Now, the new colony I've got, if I can get her to stay, not the Polyrhacus, by the way, if I can get her to stabilise and grow, I might put her in a terrarium because I've got a sneaky suspicion she might hunt the woodlice and keep the woodlice in check, numbers-wise. You wouldn't believe the Solenopsis did do me in because, I mean, you see my playlist on them until I finally admitted defeat. Now, I don't admit defeat often. I am stubborn as a mule. I will continue and keep going and going and going. I'm persistent, but they broke me. They really did. I mean, it didn't help that I was going on army exercise, so I couldn't risk them escaping because my then wife would not have been able to cope with it at all. So once they finally got out and did the damage that they did, killing other colonies, getting into other colonies and killing them and stuff, I had to admit defeat and get rid of them. Luckily, somebody took them off my hands rather than me having to put them in the freezer because that would have really sucked. Cheers. Yeah, that would have really sucked. Oops, I forgot my train of thought now. I got distracted by Carly. What was I saying? Solenopsis broke me. That was it. And then because they got out several times, and the last time it was just too much. Like I said, I was going on exercise with the army, and I couldn't ask my ex to look after them, because if they got out en masse like they did that time, where they killed all the different Conleys and stuff, there was no way in a million years that she would be able to deal with that, because they were so tenacious. Which means I would have had to leave them, and they would have got around the house, been stinging her in bed. Captain Hindsight's rescue is probably not a bad thing. Stinging my ex to death. That's a joke, by the way. Yeah, but yeah, it's just not ideal. And like I said, they didn't just leave me a bitter taste in my mouth for Solenopsis, because I'm never going to get Solenopsis while I've got a hole in my arsehole. But they've left a bitter taste in my mouth for just generally small ants. Now, when I see small ants, I just think, no, not today, not today. Yeah, I've seen them all. How did the family dinner go? Just kidding. I just got an ad for an ant parasite. I think YouTube is showing ads to the wrong people. Yeah, watch Antsud's YouTube videos and then buy some ants anti-pack and what's it called? Pesticide. That's it. Oh my God, there's just so many. Am I halfway down yet? Probably not even there yet. I'm gonna have to take this apart as well and give it a good clean out, I think, too. Now, I'm under no illusions. I'm not going to get all these little small critters out of here as I'm cleaning it, and there's probably going to be some that end up in the terrarium, but they should be okay. They won't. If I see them in the terrarium cutting around, I'll pick them out, pluck them out, and stuff. But there is a lot of rubbish that I've already stuck in there. I need a trowel, is what I need. Anyway, got any other questions for me? By all means, just stick them down in the chat. I am happy to answer anything. I think I've got worried then. Do you wash these before giving them to your ants? I don't. I don't. I just stick them in, to be fair. Which is, I think, where all the bugs that eat all the rubbish comes from, to be fair. I just stick them straight in. I've never had any issues with it. Occasionally, there is other bugs and stuff in there. They get in there as well. And occasionally, some native ants get in there too. But they're not really bothered by the native ants. And the native ants, because it's on its own, just kind of like panic rather than do any kind of attacking. So I don't need to worry too much about that. But yeah, I don't bother washing them, just stick them straight in. Get Formica rufa. I've tried Formica several times, and every time I fail miserably. To be fair, I did actually film some really interesting behaviour with the slave makers. I'd love to get them again because I think they're really cool, and even though it's not very PC these days. I love their lifestyle choice of slave making. I did make some really great observations about the slave makers as well, because I just thought when I first got them that the slave makers were just going in, taking the brood, taking them to their little gaff, their nest, and then hatching out the brood. And because the brood smell would have took on the smell of the host colony, that they would have just been like, oh right, this is my home, happy days. But what I did observe, and I think I've got some video evidence on my channel somewhere of it, is that there was very much a dominating behavior from the slavers to the slaves. So they're not just cutting around, distributing the work equally. There was the slave makers were very aggressive against the slave formicas, and they had a very dominating behavior towards them. Now, I think they're difficult to keep in captivity because you've got to really have a stable Formica Connolly so you can actually harvest the brood for them, because obviously you don't want to unleash slave makers on your own Connollies, because we care and love our Connollies. We don't want them to get wiped out, and the slave makers will wipe out the other Connolly. They won't just go in there and pilfer a couple of brood and stuff like that. They will literally go in there. They will literally go in there and decimate the Connolly and take what they want out of them. Now, I tried Rufobarbus. They lasted for a couple of years, but eventually died off. I tried Formica Fuscas, same, couple of years, died off. Slave makers, to tell you the truth, I think I fed them some a cockroach which wasn't quite dead, and it got up and started running around like a blue-ass fly. And I think they may have gassed the queen, to be fair. But that was a second attempt at them. I will go back to slave makers again in the future, but I think next time what I'm going to do is make sure that I've got a stable Formica Connolly that I could potentially harvest of. I mean, I think a naturalistic setup's the way to go with them together. Have you not found that the single iris have decimated the Fuscas? Mate, I want to tell me more. I want to know more. Forgot my train of thought. Yeah, so I do want to keep them, but if I'm going to keep some more slave makers, I'm going to have to get a stable Connolly of Formicas. Now, I've tried every form of an artificial setup with the Formicas. I think the only way is natural. But then the question then gets asked is, if you go El Naturel with the Formicas, then how can you harvest the brood without exposing the Formica to the Sanguinis or the slave makers as just an idea? Oh, have an idea. Yeah, but like the problem with that is great, but like I said, the slave makers will decimate the host Connolly. They won't just go in there and take what they want and bugger off unless they put up a successful defense. They will literally go in there and kill everything. Take the brood, they'll eat half the brood, and they will keep half the brood to grow as slaves. So it's a really interesting life cycle, and it's interesting how it's developed. But yeah, it's difficult. The queens are also parasitic as well, so they have to find a Formica Connolly to found with. And then they'll go into the other Formica Connolly. They'll kill the queen and then assume control of the Connolly, and away you go from there. Is my understanding. So if you can found a queen on her own, but you've got to give her slaves as well, or give her some Formica pupae that she can tear open so she can start a Connolly. I'm sure that's how I'm sure that they're parasitic queens as well. So they're parasitic queens, and it's a parasitic lifestyle. Somebody will probably correct me in the channel. What was your first ever Ant Connolly hood? And how did you get into the hobby? My first ever Ant Connolly was Lagus Nigers, as everyone in the UK probably. How did I get into the hobby is, so I was watching TV one time in the evening, got bored of watching The Pimple Doctor, and since a kid I've had an interest in ants. So I decided to... I say The Pimple Doctor as a generic form because everyone knows what I'm talking about, but I was watching some right sicko crap, draining pus-filled cavities and stuff like that. Don't know why, I just went through a phase of it. And I got bored of it, so I decided to put into YouTube ants, and then I came across Ants Canada. Now, this is back in the day when Ants Canada was actually formative and really interesting. I watched all his videos and about collecting ants and stuff like that, and how to go about it, get all the good info and stuff like that. Really good, really informative. And then I was watching his videos, and then I was walking the dog one summer, and I noticed it was nuptial flight. So I ran home and got a Tupperware box, collected about 6 queens, I think it was, because I know the success rate sometimes is a bit weak. 6 queens, and then I ordered some new test tubes off of Amazon. And then before I knew it, I had Conleys. And there you go. That's how I got into the hobby. No, because Sanguinis can actually live without slaves. So they can survive on their own without the slaves. They don't have to have slave work. Sorry, this is a question. How do slave makers manage in that nature then? Do the Conleys just die when they've killed all the former Conleys in the vicinity? And like I was saying, they don't, because they can have slaves and the slaves will help the Conley, but they're not dependent on the slaves. She has to have a host Conley to found, which obviously they will then become slaves to her and her brood. But if all you've got is Sanguinis, then they will the slave makers, they will survive on their own. So without slaves, it's not imperative, but like I said, it's that behaviour that I'd like to observe, and I like observing behaviours of ants, especially because I've got the ability to film them in quite a bit of detail as well. So yeah, I hope that answered that question. And obviously, any queens that then found in the vicinity, then they'll predate on them as well. And like I said, that's to my understanding. I am no ninja expert at this. Yeah, and occasionally they will bite more than they can chew, and they may find a Conley that's a bit too much for them, and they'll tend to give it a wide berth for a while. Ooh, I've squashed that chamber down a bit. Oopsie. Ooh, that's a big dead major. I've never seen I've actually seen a Sanguini. This was down south in an army training area, attacking another Formica species, and raiding the brood because I've seen them carting it off. Now, unfortunately, I was DSing a section attack, so I noticed it, clocked it, was like, "Oh, that's interesting." Then carried on with what I had to do. But Captain Hindsight to the rescue, I would have gone back to that area and took some pictures and stuff, because it would have been really cool to show it actually happening in nature. And personally, because I'm from the Midlands, we don't have a great deal of interest in ants. Now, bear in mind, there's nothing wrong with Lagus. We've got a lot of Lagus around here, but we don't have many Formicas at all. I only know of, in close-ish proximity to me, I know of 2 natural Conleys of Formica fuscas, or the other Formicas I can't think off the top of my head, that are similar. But they're not very commonplace about where I'm from. So to see other ant species down south, we've got a large plethora of ants. It was really interesting to see. Come on, big chunks. So it was quite a surprise for me, to be fair. It was in my younger ant keeping days as well, to be honest. Oh, stop biting me. Look at my fingers. You. I need to finish off. Got some family coming around for scoffing a bit as well. But I'll tell you what's going to stop this live stream. It's going to be probably the battery on my phone. Got a bunch of 20 roofers. 20 minutes away from me, but they never seem to have any nocturnal flights. I don't know when they fly. To be fair, I don't think they don't fly at the same time as Lagus. I know that for sure. I think they have a different criteria to fly in, so they don't fly at the same time. So if you're looking at a Lagus flight, and hopefully to get some off the back of that, I don't think that's the case. But roofers, you're not allowed to capture them, I don't think. I think the roofers in the UK are protected, but I could be wrong. So you're not allowed to collect the queens. Now, if they're collected from another country, they're not protected. You can own a queen like that, but I don't think you can collect them wild. I may stand corrected on that, so don't quote me. Most queens go back to the nest after mating. Do they? That I didn't know. But then that would indicate that they mate quite close to the nest then. Same with what's it called? Myrmicas. They tend to mate close to the nest and go back home. Hundreds of queens. Jesus. Yeah, Terry. I guess I do kind of look like I've broken through the toilet paper. Yeah, I think so. I think I'm getting there. I'm not far off it now. If I get time and I've got battery, I'll definitely, once I've finished faffing around with this, I'll definitely do a quick run around, see what the state of everything is at the moment. I do need to clean up my ants before anyone starts commenting that they're all dirty. I know. Don't hold it against me. So many of these little buggers everywhere. And they are cutting the cabbage. Just take them a bit of time. I keep the Aegis Knives, Messrs, Phedoles, Camponotus, Tichimorium. What's your favourite Conley? I really like Camponotus, to be fair, but they're just very slow growing. I've got some Sansabinus, which are doing really well, which is great to see. They're an American species of Camponotus. My Camponotus lignoperda are doing really well as well, which is good. My Camponotus singularis not doing so well. I'm half tempted to move them into a naturalistic setup because they're currently in the Venus nest and the brood aren't developing. So I'm a bit concerned there. I may give it until I come back in 3 weeks' time from my army exercise, and then have a think about what I'm going to do with them. What species would like in the future? Trapjaw ants. I would like some trapjaw ants. I don't suspect I'm going to get any. Ants. Don't run from me. I don't have a favourite because Conleys are small. Phedoles. I like Phedoles. They're pains to found. Once you get them through the post, they're such pains to get to the point of where they're happy, where they start reproducing. Now, Phedoles babies or ants, workers, apart from the majors, don't live very long. So if you can't get that queen settled and start getting to producing eggs ASAP, you really run the risk of losing your Conley, because unless the queen's happy, all the main workers will die out. Now, if your little workers all die out and you've got a ton of majors, you're still in danger road, because the majors will do absolutely nothing when it comes to foraging. They will store food, but they won't go out and forage for food. That is the responsibility of the little miners. So if all the miners die out, which don't live very long at all, then you're struggling to get that colony to survive. Do the Nopes want potato peels and carrot peels? No, it's carrot peels would be lovely, please. Just got some Fedoli Megacephala. They are tiny. Aren't they inbreeding? Holy moly, Fedoli. I like it. And my Curatatus is just a queen. See, I always try and get some workers if I can whenever I buy a new Conley, just because it doesn't matter what Conley you get, founding can be very difficult. This is becoming a pain in the bum. Holy moly, Fedoli. Love it. I kind of feel like I'm not even anywhere near the bottom yet. This goes on forever. I know it's my own fault before anyone tells me. I've only got myself to blame. I know. Well, this is all crusty. There must be a lot of dead around this one. Feels... Yeah, there's a lot of dead ants here. I'm not surprised though. The plants are going to love all the nutrients from all the bits I'm picking up. I watched some videos from the ant keeper about breeding ants. Do you think it could be done inside instead of looking for a queen? No. Well, it depends. It really depends what ants you're looking at. Now, if you're looking at something like Lagus nigers, you've got no hope because they breed in the air on the hoof, and then they land on my bonnet just to wind me up that they're getting sex and I'm not. So it's they mate on the hoof. So being able to recreate that in an enclosed environment will be difficult. If you've got ants like Myrmecorubras who will mate near the nest, you could potentially do that. But then again, they need access to males, so you need to get two colonies with males and females to mix together, so you can actually get the breeding, so you can continue the colony. Now, generally speaking, they go back into the colony, but they can. Thank you. They can. Jesus, they don't need that much. They can found on their own, and where they become semi-colostral queens, which I made a mistake when collecting queens on that one. I didn't realise I was semi-colostral. Clean yourself off, mate. But I think, generally speaking, any exotic ants in the UK, I think is near on impossible, because trying to recreate the conditions for them to fly naturally is not going to happen. I wished it did, because I think my Fedoli nodas ended up dying out because I just got so queen heavy, because I had a load of queens, but I didn't have any of the environmental triggers for them to fly. And if they did, then I could have got them out of the nest to do it. Now, I've learnt my lesson with that, and the lesson I learned from that is, with Fedolis is concerned, don't overfeed them. There is some Fedolis that mate inside the nest, so you could potentially argue that you could do that. But generally speaking, I think any other kind of like trying to recreate the environment to get them to mate is going to be hard. I don't understand. Maybe she is not fertilized because she doesn't have workers. She come with larvae. What we're talking about here, matey. I'm planning on keeping 3 of my Tetramoian to try and breed. Yep, cool. My missus just said to me, "You weren't even listening, were you?" I thought to myself, that's a strange way to start a conversation. He took elites from different colonies and stuck them in a dark box. Did it work though? No, nodas don't inbreed, unfortunately. I did with my Noda colony because I had a lot of queens that pulled the wings off and went into the outworld, and I know Fedoli's do inbreed, but so what I did was separate a Fedoli queen off with a load of workers. So it's kind of as if they were splitting off from the main colony. Either way, she had some workers to help look after her. And I did this experiment twice to try and see if it was if I could get them to found, and they wouldn't. So the queens, even though they pull the wings off, they're not fertile, so they don't actually breed. They're just a burden to the colony, to be honest. And like I said with noders, once you lose all the minor workers, then you got no hope. Did he? That's interesting. I mean, what do you know? What Ansi managed to get to do that? You might have said it in the comments already, but I've clearly not seen it. Oh, it's getting all soggy now. These ants starting to look like the Battle of the Song. Oh, it's getting all sticky. Eesh. Gross. But they're native to him. Ah, well, there you go. They're native, so it might be possible. Polyrhacus, some Polyrhacus is inbreed. Polyrhacus dives inbreed, for example. So getting them to do the naughty is probably not going to be too difficult. I've seen people with Polyrhacus in the UK get them to breed. So I know it's possible for Polyrhacus. But like I said, they were inbreeding though. They weren't exposed to an external drone to be able to do the get down and funky with. Oh, that's not uncommon for the Fedolis, mate. So don't worry about that. All you need to do is make sure that the queen settles down as soon as possible. Touch when she first gets to you, rather than disturbing her later on. As soon as she gets to you, if she's got workers, attach an outworld so the workers can go and get food, and then put her somewhere where she's not going to get vibrated on or anything like that from anybody coming in, and then feed her without disturbing the test tube, and then she should settle down and start getting the food from the workers, and she should hopefully start to pick up and lay eggs. That's my best advice I could possibly give to you with that one. This doesn't smell that funky, to be fair. I'd expect it to be a bit pongy, but it doesn't smell bad at all. But my fingers are starting to get like dry mud on it. It's starting to feel a bit weird. But hey ho. Oh. I'm getting there, but this is taking forever. I don't even know how long has this live stream been going on for. 2 hours. I've been just doing the same thing for 2 hours. Ooh. You guys must be getting bored. I do talk a lot of rubbish though, don't I? But I've accepted the fact that I talk rubbish. And if any of you guys are new to my channel, don't expect me to stop talking rubbish, because that's all I ever do. So yeah, I'm going to go eat breakfast. Might check in again later if you're still live. I probably will be, to be fair, mate. It's good to see you pop along, though. It's good to see you, and hopefully I'll see you again a bit later. I mean, I've still got a bit more to do, and I'm going to want to finish off. Once I've washed my hands, to be fair, I want to show you guys some of my other Connolly's cutting around as well. I may give you a sneak peek at some of the new ants that I've just bought as well. Now that I'm in a stable position, I'm kind of keen to start increasing my collection of ants again. It depends what you're feeding them, to be fair. I mean, if you're feeding them fruit flies, you know, you can just drop the fruit flies in and they should be able to hunt. I don't know, actually. They're quite small. Fruit flies are quite small too. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to give them a little baby roach, a nymph roach, I'll probably do that every 2 days and see how they get on. But don't make the outworld too big. Just make it a nice little one if you can. It's just so you can feed them without disturbing the queen, because you need to get her to settle down and produce workers ASAP, like I said. Because if those workers die and she ain't got nothing to replace it, then you're in a world of pain, bro. World of pain. I reckon I'm halfway. I mean, it's kind of like slanted a bit, so I'm nearly at the bottom here, but I've got a bit there. So I don't think I think I'm over halfway. I could just poke the bottom, so I'm getting there. Problem is, it's difficult sometimes to pick out what's a dead ant and what's a live ant. Because obviously this is a graveyard as well, which my roaches are going to be loving, by the way. Not my roaches, my wood lice. Once the wood lice and the springtails have gone to town on this, then I'll be able to put a Connolly in there again. Don't particularly want to put them in there when I've got like freshly killed ants and stuff, in case of that haven't been processed by the cleanup crew, in case there's any bad stuff in here. Oh, there's one. Say bad stuff, you know what I mean. I know, but the problem is that they've just got such small ants, and I mean, like, I'm not sure if you can see that, but literally there is a little ant in the end of that. I mean, think about it. The miners are probably about the same size as Lagus flavia, so it's difficult to try and to clean them out because they're all over this trash. They're everywhere, all over it. So trying to clean it out, and you've got some big ones as well. I mean, that's still alive, even though I think I've squished it. Yeah, I think I've squished that by mistake. Sorry, mate. Oh, bugger. Yeah, it's just trying to filter out the little ones. And look at the state of my fingers. So. Ow! True dedication. It's my own fault. How often do you feed for those if there's only about 10 workers mealworms? I'll probably do like quarter of a mealworm every couple of days, to be fair. Yeah, but it's a big pile of trash and I've only got myself to blame. I didn't clean it out as often as I should. So it's my own fault. I don't know what else to say about that one. I'm sitting here, I'm spending 2 hours cleaning it out. You guys have stuck by watching me, listen to me talk rubbish, which is fair enough. Thank you, pals. I do appreciate that. There's 15 of you now watching me clean rubbish. So I do appreciate it. Like, you're probably just waiting around to see what my new ants are, aren't you? But I will talk a bit more about that. I'm not overly hopeful for her for some reason. I just don't think that she's really exhibiting the behaviour that I'd expect. This is very granulated. I think they've been attacking the gypsum at the bottom and moved it around the trash. But it doesn't mean this won't still be able to be used, to be fair. Because unlike them, the new setups, where they've got the little thing at the side, which You've come here to die, to be fair, but I'll put you back in the outworld just in case. Crumbs, what I was saying. Yeah, they've got like a little side bit to it so that you can hydrate it without flooding it, because Ant Holifer had this set up and he managed to flood it. Got a bit over anxious with humidifying it. So Wakushi came up with that system, but the problem with that system is that what I found with that one is that they've now excavated into that side chamber bit, so I can't humidify it anymore. Now, luckily enough for me, the fungus is self-regulating, so I don't really need to worry about hydrating it anymore. But if you've got if you've got a smaller Connolly, potentially that could be an issue. Or if what's more likely is they'll get big like mine, they'll excavate into that little chamber, and then the fungus dies off, which mine did last year. It died off to practically a shadow of this. It was tiny, but then it's built back up again, and now I've got two, so it's a backup. Where you would need to hydrate it, but I couldn't hydrate it because they'd excavated into that. So that has got its flaws. Though it's not idiot proof that yet. I did, when I reviewed it, suggest that Wakushi might want to put mesh around it to stop them getting into there if they do excavate down to it. To my knowledge, he's never done that, and that is an experience I've had with it where they've got into it. I think I covered it in my other videos, to be fair. Probably lives, I don't know, I can't remember. I forget what I put in lives and what I don't put in lives and put in long forms. But yeah, what we got here, sorry. What's going on? Hood just cleaning out of trash and talking random stuff. This is very true. Why does he just wash out the whole pod? Because it's full of tiny anchors. Tiny anchors? Anchors? There was an A there, I swear. Tiny workers. They float. This pod was filled to the brim in 2 hours. He's made progress. Yeah, Elijah. It's taken me a while, to be fair. I'm getting there, but like I said, I have to keep checking it because it's just full of tiny ants. And then probably gonna have to redistribute all the trash in there anyway. Hey, Elijah. Have I? That is a refreshing change. I never get it right. I must have had an epiphany while sleeping, which indicates I've been thinking about you while I'm sleeping, which sounds a bit wrong. It's getting really moist now. Getting in the bottom. I don't think this gypsum is going to be the best of states down here. So I imagine that all this detritus is quite acidic. I imagine it's quite acidic, so it's not gypsum. In fact, I'm at the bottom there, well, a bit of it. Oh, it's disgusting, like, but it doesn't look too bad. Might not be as bad as I think it is. I would be honoured to be in your dreams. What kind of dreams? Sorry, I'm just being wrong. Can't help myself sometimes. It's really granulated. Why is it so granulated down there? There's a lot of dead ants as well. It's to be expected, to be fair. It is the trash, but still. But this is all the old stuff, so hopefully there shouldn't be much. Oh, there's a worker. Covered in trash. Go there, let your sisters clean you up. Well, hopefully they clean up. I think they've been cleaning the ones that are covered in rubbish that I've dumped in there. Oscar, don't. He will. Don't. Oscar, don't hell him. He will. We get Geminati. He gets PTSD. So I'm dumping the rubbish into my terrarium. Now, this stuff is full of nutrients. Most of it's fungus, leaf litter, leftovers, and dead workers. So it is full of nutrients. So I'm just putting it in my terrarium because it will feed the... I've not got ants in there at the moment, so I'm not putting any food in there, such as roaches in there. So it will feed them. The springtails will have a whale of a time, and the cleanup crew, like springtails, and the wood lice will have a whale of a time in there. So, and there is a lot of it. There was at least, feeling the weight of this, it was at least a couple of kilos of trash in here, believe it or not. It's all wet and gross. Ooh, what are you going to put in it? Elijah just saying he's made his terrarium yesterday. So I'm just curious to see what he's going to put in it. How did they get that in there? That's a big stick. That must have took proper effort to get that in there. How did they even do it? No idea. Now, since I got the second pod, this has always been their trash pod, so I've never actually directly... I used to feed it directly in here, but I've emptied it out since then before. So I don't think this is all stuff from what I put in here when I originally fed them. Oh, now it's starting to smell a bit funky. Lots a lot of dead ants. You look alive. No, you're dead. So Hood, what? And for Christmas birthday, I'll buy a huge tank, so something similar to Nordic Ants. That would be really cool. I was watching Nordic Ants terrarium this morning. So Hood, what's your opinion on Wakushi Gen 4 stuff? Going to get yourself some soon. I've got some on the way for my Diversa. I've ordered a nest for my some other stuff as well, which are Latin names I can't read. I'm not bothered by the Wakushi Gen 4 stuff, to be fair. Partly because when I have been ordering some stuff off Wakushi recently, but it's been a new pod for them. I look fat in that picture. I just see me turn over to the side with my big gut hanging out. Honestly, I'm not that fat, really. I really am that fat. And I've just got a weaver set up as well recently. So I've got a couple of new ant boy nests, which are for my meat ants, which I'll be connecting them up tomorrow, probably, providing that the GF doesn't have any plans or anything. And that'll be a video for next week, I think. Potentially. Oh, that does hum. Potentially next week. I've ordered a nest. Yeah. So, yeah, it looks kind of cool. If I see a need for it, if I get another harp set up, I need another harp set up. I'm probably going to go for the Gen 4 stuff, just because it's kind of ideal. It's one big chamber for them, so it'll be kind of good. That's a possibility, but other than that, I can't say I'm overly taken with the Gen 4 stuff. But like I said, I generally trust Wakushi products, to be fair. They're reasonable-ish for price. They're not the cheapest out there, but there's some proper crap. He does a fair bit of research into them, so I know that he's already tested them out on his ants somewhat before they come to mine. And there's an increasing amount of people that seem to be getting into this hobby that just wang it is probably the best way to describe it. They just either kept ants for a couple of weeks and decided to make their own nests and then just release them, not actually proper product testing them, which isn't great. I've been approached by a couple of people recently where I looked at the nests and thought, you know what, this is just old tech. you're just kind of rehashing ant kit stuff. You know, ant kits was great at the time, but they never moved with the times with designs or functionality. And it just seems like he was taking a step back, this chap. And I was just like, do you know what? I have got a reputation for being absolutely lethal with reviews and stuff like that. And I just decided that, do you know what? Rather than just getting a freebie because he was offering it for free and just slating it for the sake of it, I'll just not bother. Because it was using sponge still for hydration, when there's definitely better alternatives now. And I think he was, it looked like acrylic designs that hadn't really, like I said, were just like ant kit stuff. Now I don't know what's going on with Ant Kit. Have any of you guys on Ant Kit's freaking webpage? I've come off it now, Facebook page. Come off it now because it's just been spammed to death. But yeah, Ant Kit's definitely disappeared. Is your Strongylopsis still alive? No, my Strongylopsis disappointingly died. Yeah, and along the pavement ants went with them as well, which was a big disappointment. But like I said, I really like the parasitic ants, but I've not had much luck with them. To be fair, saying that, I've not had much luck with anything, have I? I must be a really bad ant keeper because I've had a lot of failures, and I wouldn't say I was the worst ant keeper in the world, but you'd expect a better success rate than what I've had. What do you guys think? Yeah, it is sad because I like the parasitic, and the thing with them as well is because they're two complete different species. Now she's a parasite. She uses their workers to look after her brood, and then produces it. But she never kills the host queen, which is interesting. She just chemical inhibits her to stop her making reproductives. Why, I don't know. Because if you can wang it to stay in the colony and have basically essentially two queens of different species, and you've wanged it to be there, what's the problem with letting them reproduce because you've already succeeded by getting in there? But apparently she releases a chemical to stop the host queen producing elites. Maybe because they're resource intensive and she wants the resources for her kids. Don't know, to be fair. I don't know. But it's still interesting behaviour though. Oops. Oh, this is a stinky bit. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they're definitely keeping... This is the main graveyard for sure. Colours just full of hundreds of dead workers. It smells funky as well. I've not seen many little ants recently, so maybe they've all been picked up, which means I'm nearly there, guys, to be fair. Oh, I just smell funky, this. Ants are quite... Often it's not the keeper's fault for deaths without calling you a bad ant keeper whatsoever. Yeah, I know. It's very hit and miss with queens. You can... It's like I went with Carly to pick up some Aegis Nigers because I said, come on, let's get your own Connolly going, see how we get on with that. So I got us a Aegis Connolly, and her queen died, so she had my one. We only picked up two. I did make it clear that, you know, it's very, very hit and miss. Sometimes you can have, you know... Like when I first collected queens, on my first flight, when I first got into ant keeping, I collected 6, and all 6 of them survived. But then, like... there's a little worker. But then, like I said, then I had this one and these 2 queens that we collected, and unfortunately, one of them died within a week of being collected. Just one of them things. I know. But sometimes you can't help but feeling, like with me and Formica, what am I getting wrong with them? Because I can't keep them alive for any longer than a couple of years. The answer's probably naturalistic, to be fair. I get it, but in artificial setups, you know, I've not had any luck with Formicas at all. which is surprising. I mean, everyone said the same to me. Said the same about the Carabera. Carabera need naturalistic setups for A, B, C, D, and G reasons. But I think I've smashed that because my Conley's absolutely booming, and I still, and I've still got a booming Conley, and it's all in artificial. So hopefully I've put that rumour to bed, but who knows? I just can't seem to keep Formica alive. But saying that, though, I've got a Campo curse as well. Because, yes, I've got a couple of Camponotus Conleys that are doing fine, or plodding along, because they are slow growing, most of them anyway. But I've gone through so many Camponotus Queens since then, since starting, that, you know, my success rate is very, very slim. All right. Get into the grossy bits now. Oh, yeah. This is where they've all been lurking. Just tapped into the main chamber where the entrance was, where all the ants were congregating, as I slowly chipped away at it. So I've got quite a few running around at the moment. So you have to bear with me if I go a bit quiet. I'll pick all these out. This will be for the better, I swear. Even though it feels a bit tedious. Take I can't read that word, for example, or Oscar's Atters. Both Conleys were in good condition and they just died. I've just got a Conley of Diversity in artificial, nearly 1,000 workers. Really good effort. Workers, I would say. So, yeah, that's really good. Generally speaking, if you got your, it sounds like your Carabera Conley's doing well. How many queens you got in that bad boy? My Conley's only a one queen wonder, to be fair, but they're doing really well still. I want to introduce a new queen to her probably soon. To be fair, I want to introduce a new queen, and I want to document it as well, like proper on video, not dramatising like freaking Ants Canada does every time he introduces a bloody crazy ant to a new Conley, which literally they never say no. They always accept each other. Where Carabera are a bit slightly different, so without being dramatising it all and making, oh my god, oh, will they do it? Oh no, it's a violent attack. No, wait, they're all friends now. They've been accepted, fine. Going to be a bit more realistic about it. But the way I'm going to, I know some people just dump them in, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try and introduce them together gradually, or let them find each other rather than just dumping the queen into the outworld where potentially you can get the defensive instinct to come out and they just attack her. So I want to put it like attach a tube, big bit of tubing. When I say big bit of tubing, I mean a big bit of tubing to another part of my room where there'll be a small outworld with the new queen's test tube attached to it, and then watch them make their own way eventually, and they will do it eventually, over to the new queen, and then hopefully they'll be like, hey, baby. And they'll meet a bit more naturally rather than just dumping them into the outworld. Another one is what? 2 queen went down to 1 queen. Plan to have a queen soon. I think Antantix has actually got. I think he's actually got a some queens onlys. Anyway, I think Sty got a load, didn't he? A queens in. I can't remember. Don't we talk to Sty much these days? To be fair, I don't really talk to anyone much these days. Problem is that I used to join the Wakushi chats, but he doesn't want a Saturday. Saturday, I'm always busy, working or socialising, so it's difficult for me to jump on them now. Well, when it was a Friday evening, I had a lot more Fridays free. I could have just jumped in and chatted rubbish, but he's probably done it on purpose because he doesn't want me to attend the chats anymore. I'm only joking. Sting has a 20 queen. That is put a lot of pressure on the workers, that is. I mean, I'd probably even say you're verging on being detrimental to your economy if you've got that many queens. If you know what I mean. Because if you've got a 20 queen Connolly, that means you've got 20 mouths to feed that are high protein demanding. Now, that means a lot to keep up with. A lot. And that's not even considering the brood. Consider the brood into that, they're all producing queens. Loads of queens is not always great. On WhatsApp, probably. I don't want to give my number out to people to join WhatsApp, though. Not because I'm weird, which I am slightly. But saying that, though, I'm on the Ants Davy leaf cutter group, so I guess people on there have got my number. It's hard to distinguish what's alive and dead at the moment. So you're probably going to have here, I've got a load of rubbish in that outworld if I'm not careful. Are you on that group as well, Elijah? If I'm not careful, I'm going to put a load of rubbish in there and they're going to start dumping all the crap there. Hopefully not, though. Need to get some more leaves for these as well for later today. But I am going to clean this out because it is disgusting. So many of them. I'm not guessing at all that I've got all the workers. There will be some in the terrarium where I've not seen them, but if I can get most of them back into the outworld, it won't be too bad. I mean, there's a lot here in this trash. A lot. I've picked out loads. Meat ants are going to start flying in my area soon, so hopefully I can catch a few queens. I love the meat ants. They smell funky. I mean, I've asked people this who keep them, and I've seemed to be the only one to be able to smell it. But I swear down, they've got a very distinctive smell to them. I love the colours of them. I just wish that because they've got like a rainbow colour back to them, which is really cool. I just kind of wish that that you could see that with a naked eye rather than under a macro lens. Otherwise, I'd constantly have a light shining on them because they look really cool. Now, I don't know about you. If you get yours, by all means, let me know. But mine generally kill a lot of the brood in the outworld. I don't know why. They're a bit like Nico's that way. Probably just being annoying. Right. Well, they're giving that little distress call again. Where are you going? Greetings from Germany. Hey, babe. Hey, mate. I said babes then. Yeah. I've just seen purple-headed variants in the wild, and they are iridescent purple, and you can see it from the naked eye. It's pretty cool. You can't really see with mine. Maybe it's just the light I'm using. Nixon, if you catch multiple Connollys, you could spare one. Could you spare one? Yeah, they're not cheap. They're not cheap in the UK at all. I think mine cost me around £1,000. That would be expensive. 100 quid, maybe more. Can't remember. I got mine from Ants Davy though. Sticky fingers. Well, I'm getting there, folks. How would it have could be important and export laws are so strict? Can you not? I know that in Australia the import laws are really strict, but the exports on the same kind of strictness as well. Then, so I thought it was all about what's coming into the country, not what's getting out. But saying that you've got a load of weird critters in Oz, haven't you? So they probably want to protect the wildlife, stop it getting pillaged by a load of freaking opportunists, which is so human nature. It's unreal. All that cotton wool stuck to the tube inside. So I'm just clearing it out of the way because one of the ants got stuck on it. Message restricted? What on earth did you say? Especially with ants, yeah. Never seen a restricted message before. I hope it won't be in a nasty pasty. Didn't have any problem. Yeah. There's a lot. I think this was the hollow where the main chamber was going into the outworld. So there's a lot of ants around here. And I've got like lost feeling in the end of my fingers because of so caked in mud. Nearly there, not quite though. Did you have any suggestions where I could get some quality, quite diverse Connollys from? I got mine from Antantics a couple of years ago. So for me, that's worked there from him. And in all fairness, if I was going to get some more, I'll probably go back to Antantics. So totally up to, I would suggest them. I used to have a discount code, but mine doesn't work anymore. Probably because I disappeared off the face of the earth for a little while with my videos. But yeah, but I think Holifer's got a discount code for Queens only, so you could try use his and see if his still works. But I don't think mine does anymore. I think you only get 10% off, but it's just Queens only. So it's not the greatest discount code, but if you get any kind of money off, it's a bonus, isn't it? Oh god, this is caked. There. It's all slushy. You. The problem, Antantics doesn't deliver to Germany, as I know. I think he does international. He sends to Holifer. So if we send into holes, because I watched a video the other day with him, which had the Antantix test tube in it, I'd imagine it will send to you in Germany. I could be wrong. Have you made contact with him and asked him? How do I go about this? Now, if memory serves, I think that pops off. Could have sworn this come off the base. It did. It's going to make it a lot easier to clean this now. I think I'm hungry. We had toast today. But Sunday roast time today. I love a good Sunday roast. I'm a proper piglet with it as well. Put that there for now. Oh. How are you still going? I'm nearly there. He doesn't deliver to Switzerland. Not enough sugar snaps. All right. Wrong description. I mean, the Carabird of us, they don't deliver. Sorry. Right. Okay. How am I still going? It took ages. I mean, as I've been going along, I've picked out loads of workers and stuff, which is good. So they're not going to die needlessly, as it were. But unfortunately, I'm nearly there now. I'm nearly there. As you can tell, this is all I got left. So not to worry too much. But yeah, like I said, it's been going on a while. There was a good couple of kilos in of anti-gook, anti-poop in there, anti-poop. The little ones. I need the little one. Another little one. I'm making an absolute mess here. Now, invariably, I have tried my best, as you guys have seen me gingerly go through this. I'm invariably going to kill a couple of ants. It is not intentional. It's not my intention, but it's just one of the... Okay, I've just dropped one. Go. There is an ant attached to that. It's not my intention to kill the ants, but I'm trying to take it out fairly quickly. Now, like somebody pointed out, you've been doing this over 2 hours and you're still at it. Now, I would rather spend 2 hours... But I'd rather kept up with actually keeping my ants clean. Then I wouldn't be spending 2 bloody hours cleaning them out, arguably. But I'd rather... It is what it is, but I'd rather do this and save as many of the ants as possible, and I would just signing them off to death, to be fair. But I guess this is kind of like the passion I've got for my ants, isn't it, really? You know, I love my ants, and I want to give them the best. So you're willing to sit here for 2 hours talking crap on live stream while people listen to me talking rubbish. Something soapy waters time soon, yeah. Something relaxing. I think watching someone do work when you don't have to do it, yeah, for sure. Got the last of the workers now. That little bit had a lot of workers on it. Sorry, I'm just picking out the workers. Ask away any questions you got. You're more than welcome to. But I'm nearly there. Now I'm going to clean this out. But before I go and clean this out, what I am going to do is I'm going to get all the ants out. Then I'm going to take this over into the utility room and give it a good wash out with some soapy water. Just normal washing up liquid will do, just to clean it out because it is disgusting. Then I'm going to put, I'm not going to do this on live, don't worry. Then I'm going to put a mineral water barrier so humidity won't affect it around the top of it, so I can then gain access without the ants escaping, so I can keep on top of cleaning it. Now I'm half tempted, because several people suggested it, keeping the lid off it so it dries it out. Now I feel like I'll be tempting fate here, because I've always been a massive fan of completely enclosed enclosures, just because of potential other ants escaping. No, I'm not concerned these are going to escape, but other ants might. And if they do escape, and they may get into this setup, and they'll have access to everything, the whole colony, unless they could put up a defence in one of the tunnels. But the tunnels are quite big, because they need to be big so they can carry the leaves into it. So it's not as if they can bottleneck them as easily as you could, like we've seen previously when my ants got attacked by other colonies that got out. Oh, I've got loads of people writing stuff now. Going to keep using this pod for trash. Going to clean it, or it needs to be fungus pod. No, I'm going to use it for trash. I've got the Outworld, which is really good, and I love feeding out of that. You get some good footage. I get to view it a lot, which is great, and it's fairly big. I do need to replace it. I want to get something, but I've talked about that before. I'm not going to bore you with it. But yeah, they need a trash one, and I'm going to keep this as the trash, to be fair. You're going to do what you're going to do, something. It's fun sometimes, isn't it? It is. Your ants will thank you later, hopefully. How are your Carabera doing, by the way? You will have a look in a sec. Once I've finished cleaning this out now, I'm nearly done. I'm not going to clean it all with soap in front of you. I'm going to do that off camera. But what I will do is quickly go around all my other colonies so you can have a look, see how they're getting on. How much would it cost to see you eat a teaspoon of acro waste? I would literally do it for 20 grand. There you go. There's a price, 20 grand. I'll do it. Yeah, I can't promise I won't be sick. And I'll probably film it, because that would be funny. Ant keeping, don't forget the secret ants. Yes. I will. I won't tell you the names though, because I can't remember off the top of my head. Keeping the lid off is definitely better. Keeps the trash dry, and it is way easier to clean out. Yeah, defo. But like I said, I'm just a bit worried about other ants getting in, killing them. But saying that, though, this is a hefty sized colony, so it'll have to be a hefty sized colony that gets them. But the only real colonies that could potentially take these on and win would be the Carabera or the meat ants. I think the meat ants are a lot bigger colony size than what I actually originally thought, because they are so big. Right, no, I still got one more bloody, got some more workers in the tunnel there. Where'd you go, you little blighter? Come here. There we go. And I think that's it done. Brilliant. Right, I have got dirty hands. Right, excuse the mess of the table. I'm going to take you off it so we can have a chat. Here we go. So, I don't know what my battery's doing. Hopefully it's fine. So I've cleaned that out, and you've had to listen to me talk rubbish for a bit. Now, some people are asking about how my other colonies are going on. So what I'm going to do is do a very quick run through with some of my other colonies now, so you guys can have a look to see what's going on. I don't imagine any ants mess with these girls. You say that, but they're not very. I don't know. They can be aggressive. My Carabera is 2. I've had a little dribble blood and a number. Yeah. I'll show you it. My Carabera is in a second. I'm not going to get the macro lens out. It's been silent. Sorry, somebody just messaged me, a friend that came around last night for some beers. So turn it around. Like I said, you know about this. Look how busy that is now, and yeah, it's not made any dent in the numbers at all. This colony is very big. The fungus is just like loads inside it. Like these tunnels holes, perforate the whole nest. So it gives a massive amount of surface area. So this Connolly is very big, to be honest, if you ask me. So what's going on with meat ants? Let's just move my iPad out of the way for now. Just sit there and shut up. So what's going on with meat ants? So currently they're in that setup. That fell off when I dropped my phone on the floor. And they are in there where the brood is, but I want to get them out of there because I want to put them into this setup, which is the Antboy black acrylic nest. I've really had issues with maintaining humidity in that. Yes, I know these are not the be-all, end-all of measuring humidity and heat. The heat's not too bad considering, but humidity, I get it. You really want something like those probes there because they're really cool. But I haven't got that luxury. I'm using what I've got, and it should give me an idea of the basic humidity level with a variance of 5%, which I can live with. But it's still low, a lot lower than expected, considering I've got 6 chambers full of water that, in Hydrostone. So I may have a chat with, have a look into that in the future. So, there's the meat ant queen. There is the meat ants. Meat ants. So, if you smell funky. So if you look here, there is plenty of little broods, and there's some larvae staged there. Same here, loads of larvae again. And why are they moving? Yeah, loads of larvae as well. Now, if you look in here, it's a bit messy at the moment. I've not cleaned it out for a while. There is loads and loads of larvae all around this outworld. It's a big old outworld, this is, to be fair, but there's like loads of it there. And they've got some here. They've actually emptied it out this a bit. There's still some larvae there as well. Why they are doing that, I don't know. Because it's not as if they haven't got enough space. I mean, if you look at the Tupperware box, or the Ant Canada nest, should I say, the pupae stage is all here, and they've got loads of it again. And there is some in that test tube there too, which I used for hydrating them originally. So yeah, I mean, my plan with these is to move them into these and get them out of that, and hopefully get some of them out of the outworld, because I just love to chill in the outworld, as you can tell. So it's quite the pain in the bum. Have any more comments while I've been talking? Carabera. Yep. So Carabera, let's go on to these. So Outworld is a bit messy at the moment. It's been messy since I gave them the egg, because I think at the back there is where all the eggy waste has gone. And I've got a big pile of rubbish here as well. But these are the Outworlds, as it were. There, and that big one there. So these are the nests. Have a very quick look. I'm not going to get the macro lens out. So they're not really busy in there. So let's put that back. Plenty of brood in there. Not much, mate. I've just finished cleaning off the tunnels, and I'm just going through my meat ants, and then I'm moving around my other ants because people want to see them before I stop my live stream. So yeah, these are my Caraberas. Plenty of brood in there, doing quite well. My Caraberas are doing really well considering. So single queen, she just production overload, and the amount of dead that I get as well that are just constantly getting replaced. She is a egg laying machine. Right, I'm gonna have to put this down a sec because I can't get it off with one hand. Jeez, I can't get it off with one hand. What's going on here? Oh, there we go. Finally. As you can tell, rammed to the brim with brood and workers, and they've pretty much destroyed the gypsum. If you look, that's what it's supposed to look like, and that's what it looks like now. So they've proper excavated most of it. If we look here, they're moving. They've got quite a fair bit of brood in there as well, so they're doing pretty all right there. And then finally, we have this one, which they've barely got anything in it, and that just goes up to there, so I can expand it later. Yes, they are easily better. They're a lot easier to handle than Solenopsis, the Caraberas. I absolutely love them. To be fair, I just love watching them. I love looking through them. I love filming them because you get to see all the super majors and stuff. I love watching their behaviour. They don't constantly. I mean, if you look there, they're just chilling on the wall. yeah. They're not constantly attacking the barrier. My Solenopsis, I'm not even joking. I've probably got about 300,000 plus. My Solenopsis will literally all day, every day, will constantly attacking that barrier. They'll climbing up to it, hitting the barrier, falling off, climbing up to it, hitting the barrier. And when you think you've got a couple of thousand doing that all day, they'll get them past barriers within days, within a day, a couple of hours in some cases, because I just constantly attacked it. And it was relentless. I think I've got a video, maybe a short, I think it is, or put it in somewhere in one of my videos, my Solenopsis. Just that constant cycle of them attacking the barrier. And if they're doing attacking the barrier like that all the time, there is no way in a million years any barrier is going to stand up to that. Especially when considering my not Carabera, sorry, my Solenopsis colony was probably about 70 plus thousand strong, just constantly attacking that barrier. They had no hope, and that's why I couldn't contain them in the end. Because unless you've got the best intentions, even a water barrier won't work because they can get past on water. Yes, it is PTSD content. They're just nightmares, and I couldn't. You can't keep them unless you're going to protein starve them. And then, if that's the case, why on earth are you getting a Solenopsis connelly for? Because you want the connelly because you want a fast growing, crazy ass species. But anyway, so this is my Camponotus sais. These are a small species of Camponotus, but they are doing well. As you can see, there's plenty of brood pupae in there. Got some eggs in there. I've not seen the queen for a while, but not really paid much attention. Believe it or not, that was filling that before. Now, that's the smaller one of that. Now, it looks like that's double the size, but I think it's even bigger because they literally filled this and I attached this, and they're spread out a bit more. But yeah, unless they're getting out, I don't know about it. That'll be a nightmare. That totally won't be unlike me. Maybe you'll get them much larger outworld and they won't feel the need to attack the barrier. No. If you watch my Solenopsis video, I gave them a massive outworld. I gave them tubing for days. It went around my room, so they had plenty of opportunity to set up and have foraging trails, but it didn't stop them. They did not relent. They are vicious, vile, horrible creatures that shouldn't be kept as for ants. So if we look here, this is my what's it called? Polyrhacus dives. Now, they're originally set up down there in an old Polyrhacus nest, but over a period of time, weeks, they have been building that bad boy. So now that they have pretty much moved fully into that nest, which is the whole reason, why I put this tree in this setup, because I wanted them to do this. Now these have actually done it, and I'm really pleased. Now the nest is a lot bigger than I expected. I think the colony is a lot bigger than I expected. I got this colony from Antantics, from AntCon. It was originally a 2-queen colony, but the 1 queen died about a week after getting them. So I think they obviously didn't like her and attacked her when the colonies got merged to make a 2-queen one. That thing is full of mites, not bad mites. They're just dirt mites. But every time I put food in there, they're just constantly crawling all over it. It's a bit worrying. But then with the amount of mites that were all over the place on the food when I put them in there, not to see any on my ants, kind of a clear indication the grain mites. They're dirt mites rather than anything else. That I've already shown. It's my Harponaphus venator, should I say. Just have a quick look for people who haven't seen it. Little pile of eggs. They've got a little chamber in there. If you want to know more about them, check the video earlier. That is a foundating Lagus nigers. That is my honey pots, who's laid a couple bit more brood, but I just checked it the other day, so I don't want to disturb her anymore. These are my what are they called? Fluffy shield ants. I've never done a video on them, so I can't remember the Latin name. But I gave them a bit of egg. They ate the white, but the yellow yolk's just all over the place. So and that's going to get cleaned out at some point. My Mesa arenaris are doing Sponduli Fantastico. They're just plodding through life, to be fair. They ate all the egg quite happily, to be fair. There's the queen just there in the bottom left, just by my finger there. So yeah, no dramas at all. They're pretty steady Eddie. My Mesa Barbarus. Actually, she hasn't nicknamed these, actually. Amos Tugants, how you doing, matey? Welcome as a new viewer. I hope to see you about a bit more. These are doing really well. Again, this outworld was actually trash. I had to yo-yo it to get them out of there into that one to clean it, and now I'm yo-yoing them. I think there's just enough outworld space for them now, so they're not making a mess in one where I can't manage it. They are going to go crazy now. That's one of the nests absolutely rammed full, and this is the other nest, which has got a bit of space, but that's where most of the seed storage is. But there's quite a lot of ants in this Conley. I probably need to get a new nest for them. I might ask once. Oh yeah, once Antboy UK's settled down in his new place. No, it's Antboy UK. These are. I'm going to get him to make me a couple more of them. I can need to pull out his sensors because they're all part-time ant keeper. You won't see him much. Yeah. But yeah, they're doing fine now, quite happily. So, youth, it's fine. These are the new ants that I got. She is very skitty, so very quickly uncover. Oop. Can't remember her name, so don't ask me. I will let you know. She has got a fresh pile of eggs. Now, she's supposed to go out and hunt and quite happy hunting and stuff like that. But as you can tell, she's not actually been hunting. When I first got her, I've got some footage of it. I put a little roach in there for her, but I didn't cut through the spinal column, so it was moving around, twiddling and stuff. Excuse me. And she actually attacked that and ate it, or can't remember. It is a new love stinger. She attacked it and ate it, where that, I popped it out there, but that was in a test tube. This one isn't now, because she's supposed to be semi-colostral. So I'm probably going to pop one in there later today, but I'm not going to worry about that now. Oh, yeah, let me show you these girls. So, Camponotus says, no says, Sansabinus. These are doing absolutely fantastico. Oh, crumbs. Move that. Try not to peer off too much. But yeah, she's doing great. Look at that. Look how big a bum is as well. Can I zoom in here? If I can keep a steady camera. Jeez, drunken hands. See how much brood she's got there. Considering I got this last year off of Ants HQ, and she's a Camponotus. She's a big campo, so she's definitely. I can't remember the name of it, guys. Honestly, not top of my head because I only got her last week. But yeah, she's slow growing, but she's got plenty of brood there. Her abdomen's full, ready to burst, full of eggs as well. And I've got quite a fair few workers. So, but that test tube, believe it or not, is empty. And I've been trying for ages to get them into the new test tube. That one, let me zoom out, sorry. Get them into the new test tube, but they haven't bothered. So they're pains in the bums. Yet again, gave these guys some of the eggs, and these are my Lignoperdas, and they've not really eaten the yolk, but they've eaten the white. So I think going forward, white is the way to go. My Lignoperdas are doing really, really well. Yes, I am finishing up soon, guys. My Lignoperdas are doing really well, which is good. They're due to hibernate soon, actually. They're Camponotus flavias, and they're the Tylanus thingamajiggas. Oh, I'm not going to disturb these again because I'm trying not to. This is my Singularis. Yeah, they're not doing okay. The queen lays a couple of eggs and then they just let them dry out. The outward, there's 3 full test tubes in there. There's no reason they should be drying out. I just don't think they're looking after them. I've got a sneaky suspicion maybe an infertile queen that got given work as brood boosting, and yeah, they've because they're just not developing the brood. That's just a speculation though, and I can't confirm or deny it. But I imagine that might be what happened because she's been laying and yet the brood's just not developing. And she's got 10 workers, so it kind of seems like to me she might have been brood boosted because she gets left on that shelf. She's always chilling in the little chamber of the Venus nest. Occasionally when I disturb it, she goes in, but I don't disturb her. I feed them from there, lift the top up, minimum vibration, so she's not getting bothered, etc., etc., etc. Yet the brood just isn't developing, so it kind of tells me that she maybe a brew boosted, maybe to get to the point where she's sellable. That's nothing against whoever got them off, which was Antantics. That might be just a supply that supplied in with them. But yeah, that's the case. Right, I have got a lot to do still. I need to clean this up properly and reconnect it and clean up my side. I've also tomorrow, I'm not going to do it tonight now because I've been doing this for ages and I want to settle down for chill out. But I'm also going to need to clean all the ants out, probably a tomorrow job. I'm going to do a video probably connecting my meat ants up to these new nests as well tomorrow as well. So hopefully that will be for the video tomorrow evening, potentially to come out. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking rubbish. Thank you for you guys sticking it in. If any of you stayed for the whole two and a bit hours, you're crazy. And thank you because I've been talking rubbish. But I'm going to love you and leave you now, guys, because I've got a bit more to do. I desperately need to clean my fingers off. Look at the state of these. Anyway, love you all, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now. End.